The story begins with the Demon King's throne room completely destroyed after an intense battle. Amidst the rebel, a gigantic being has fallen. This monster is the General of Purgatory, an officer in the Demon King's army. The general then looks at the person who defeated him, a human who is slowly approaching. He wonders how the mighty General Maladgo of the Demon King's army could be defeated. And not only that, but he was defeated by a mere human, which was unthinkable for him. The monster then becomes furious and says that this could never happen. He does not accept defeat. However, our hero stands in front of him, ready to deliver the final blow. Zichin then advances with his flaming sword and declares that victory is his. With that, the warrior unleashes a combo of brutal blows on the general. After the battle, our protagonist stands still, observing the body of the defeated monster. In this world, a demon king arose and destroyed kingdoms and countless humans. Then, as the invasion advanced, the demon king placed his officers to govern the lands. 100 years had passed since his arrival, and humanity was under his control, until a warrior appeared to change everyone's destiny, and people celebrated his return. Meanwhile, in a house, a white-haired girl looks worried. She looks out the window anxiously, waiting for someone to return. Back in the village, people celebrate, saying that Roland has defeated one of the officers. Others ask if it is true that he fought for 3 days and 3 nights straight. Everyone welcomes him with joy and calls him the village hero, thanking him for his deed. Suddenly, a familiar voice calls out to him, and our protagonist turns to see who it is. With a smile on his face, he says he is back with his childhood friend Felicia. The girl welcomes our hero and says she knew he would be fine. Seeing the two reunion, the residents decide to leave them alone to talk. Felicia then asks if it was okay for him to return from the royal capital so early. Our hero responds that if he stayed there, they would insist that he join the knights. He says he has no intention of leaving the village, and so he left the rest to Solana. Roland then jokes with the girl, saying that he is leaving everything in her hands. She says not to bother his little sister. In another place, a girl tells him not to bother his older sister either. Roland says this couldn't be a more perfect moment, but the Demon King. Solana then asks if he plans to keep her sister worried until he saves the world. So she asked him to show that he is a man and calls him brother-in-law, leaving him embarrassed. Our protagonist is left speechless and blushing at the girl's boldness. Back in the village, Roland calls out to Felicia and says he has a gift for her. The girl is surprised and asks if he is really going to give her a gift. He asks her not to be so surprised and says the word just slipped out. Curious, she asks what gift he is going to give her. Roland then picks up a small box and kneels in front of Felicia. When he opens the box, the girl is surprised to see an engagement ring. Our blushing protagonist asks Felicia to marry him. He says that in times like these, no one knows what tomorrow will bring, but still he wants to be the one who makes her happy. Felicia gets emotional and covers her face. Our hero then completes the sentence by saying that he wants to be the one to protect her. The protagonist recalls that they both lost their parents when they were young. Even in this demon-infested world, Felicia never loses her smile and brings hope to everyone. For someone like him whose only skill is the sword, she is too good for him. That's why he swore he would protect her no matter what happened. The protagonist was determined to keep his promise and protect the girl he loves. With the ring on his finger, he felt stronger and more motivated to fight. Then we see Roland training with his sword. At night, showing his dedication, he continues to practice his sword movements without rest. Felicia then finds him and tells him that he could at least take the night off, but he responds that he needs to be absolutely sure that he can protect that happiness. Felicia stares at him with a worried look. She then calls out to him and asks if he can promise her one thing. Felicia asks him to promise that he will live longer than her. She says she knows he would probably throw his life away to protect her, and who can only live in this cruel world because he believes it will bring peace. A world without him is something she couldn't bear. Roland then agrees and says he doesn't plan on dying anytime soon. Felicia asks if he really understood what she meant. He says he will be fine, but for that he needs to train even more. Our boy says it will take a while, so she can go to sleep first. Felicia asks if he's serious about her going to bed. So remember, they are a couple from today. Our protagonist asks her to wait a bit and says he will be there soon. She finds the clumsy parts of the world's strongest swordsman cute. We see our hero all embarrassed, while Felicia watches him lovingly. Suddenly, Roland's expression changes completely. He feels a sinister presence approaching and wonders what is happening. A mysterious figure appears from the sky and stares at him with a menacing gaze. Our protagonist is frightened when he realizes he is a demon. Our hero feels the crushing pressure and realizes that the enemy's power surpasses that of an officer. Without hesitation, Roland takes his sword determinedly. He advances with all his strength ready for combat. However, the protagonist's expression changes to surprise. He stands there looking at the demon. In an instant, our boy is thrown to the ground completely immobilized. Roland wonders what power is stopping him from moving. The being says that it is no wonder that Miladgo was defeated by him, and that's why he can't let our protagonist roam free. The demon reveals himself as the Demon King himself, shocking our hero. The villain explains that he personally came after him, since an officer had not been killed in 100 years. He says their goal is not the departure of humans, but the emotion called despair. The Demon King then shows an ancient curse. Our hero is terrified and asks what he intends to do with it. The Demon King lets out a macabre smile and casts the curse on the protagonist's village. Our hero screams in despair. The Demon King says that soon what is precious to him will be devoured. Roland is in shock and can't believe it. He tries to run to save Felicia, ignoring the pain in his body. He screams, remembering the promise he made to protect her at all costs. Desperately, our boy begs for her to stay safe. Roland runs to Felicia. She calls him and our protagonist turns around worried. He is confused seeing his beloved's calm expression. Felicia calmly says no. She tells him to forget the promise they made, while she is consumed by the curse. Our hero is paralyzed with horror. Felicia is enveloped by the curse and begins to transform into a monster. He can't accept the terrible scene. As she transforms, the protagonist remembers the happy moments he had with Felicia. Roland screams Felicia's name in pure despair as he sees her transform into that. Little by little, the curse transforms her into a creature with demonic armor. Her once sweet face now has a macabre smile and bright eyes. And then the transformation is complete, and the girl is now a scary monster. Her hands turned into giant, sharp claws ready to attack. Without thinking twice, the creature advances with everything towards our hero. Even shocked by the scene, Roland manages to grab his sword to defend himself. With this, he blocks the attack, but the force of the blow is much greater than his. Our protagonist is pushed back by the absurd strength of his fiancée. He tries to reach her by shouting and asking if she can hear his voice. Our boy says it doesn't matter what she looks like, because he will always love her. But the creature doesn't listen and breaks the boy's sword with its claws. And with the defense destroyed, our protagonist is thrown away by the impact. Fallen to the ground, Roland understands that her mind is gone along with her humanity. The creature looks at him with a cruel smile, as if it was enjoying the situation. At this point, Roland decides that he will just dodge the attacks until her energy runs out. He shouts that they will still be happy, and that there is a way to break the curse. And until that day comes, he promises that he won't let anyone hurt her. In response, Felicia prepares an even more powerful attack towards our hero, but he dodges easily and stands on top of her, staring at her. Felicia attacks with all her strength, turning her body to deliver her blow. From afar, the Demon King watches the fight and praises our protagonist's skill. He says Roland managed to withstand the attack without hurting his opponent. The villain then asks with a smile if our hero really thinks he can break the curse. Roland shouts furiously that as soon as he calms Felicia down, he will finish off the demon. At that moment, the creature advances again, and our protagonist is on alert. The Demon King thinks the situation won't be resolved so easily and prepares another spell. He says that maybe Roland can protect the monster and end the situation. Magic circles appear on the ground and chains bind our boy by surprise. Our hero tries to free himself, but realizes that his body no longer moves. Seeing the opportunity, the creature advances to attack the immobilized protagonist. With the impact, our hero's sword is thrown away. The weapon flies through the air and gets stuck in the ground out of his reach. The Demon King says now, things get interesting as Roland bleeds on the ground. Our boy screams in pain and realizes that with his injured arm, he can no longer defend himself. Meanwhile, the monster slowly approaches his fallen beloved. But even with the pain, our protagonist takes his sword with his other hand. Determined, he prepares to face Felicia even though he is at a great disadvantage. The creature then fires a powerful beam of energy towards him. Roland is hit head-on and thrown against the wall. All injured, our hero feels his strength fading away. His vision starts to blur, and he wonders if this is the end for him. Meanwhile, the monster prepares to deliver the final blow to him. Even on the verge of death, Roland remembers the promise he made to his beloved. In his mind, he sees Felicia, asking him not to forget what they promised. Our protagonist screams that he cannot die and leave her alone in this cruel world. With that, he realizes that he doesn't have much time to save her from the curse. Gathering his last strength, our hero stands up with sword in hand. Then he remembers her smile and his promise to protect her forever. With new determination, Roland charges forward with a kick against the creature. Our boy screams that he will never leave her alone and prepares his last attack. He then uses all his power to pierce his beloved's chest with the sword. The blow hits hard, but Roland doesn't have the strength to push the blade any deeper. He complains that with just one arm the attack was too shallow to stop her. The creature then glares at him with a furious look. With that, Felicia prepares her counterattack using her sharp claws. Without hesitation, she pierces our protagonist's chest with her hand. Our hero screams in pain as blood runs from his mouth. Completely defeated, his body hangs from the creature's arm. The monster holds him victoriously as our hero faces his inevitable death. The creature smiles macabrely at our completely defeated hero. She holds him in the air while his sword is still stuck in her. Even with the unbearable pain, Roland does not give up and gathers his last strength. The monster then throws our protagonist to the ground as if he were trash. But with a last effort, the swordsman manages to get his sword back, and with a swift movement he delivers a final blow to his beloved. In an instant he manages to cut the creature in half with a single blow. The Demon King starts laughing, saying that he cut his own wife in half. Our boy, lying on the floor, says that the villain is mistaken and doesn't understand anything. As his life fades, he reaches out in a last attempt to fight. The demon then says that our hero's life ends here because he took too long. With that, the villain disappears, leaving Roland to die alone on the ground. Suddenly, our protagonist opens his eyes in a completely white place. He gets confused and wonders what place he ended up in. Our hero then looks at his shadow and questions if this is the afterlife. He remembers Felicia's last words asking him to keep his promise, but he ended up dying soon after and was unable to fulfill what he promised. So he wonders if he can say he really kept his promise. Our boy feels that Felicia deserved a much happier ending than she got. Two feathers slowly fall as our hero's consciousness fades. A woman with wings and blindfolded eyes appears in front of our boy. She introduces herself as the angel Myosotis to our surprised protagonist. Roland is confused and asks who she is, but the angel says there is no time. However, she says she has one thing to say before getting to the main point. Myosotis reveals that Felicia was happy even at the end of her life. She says he is also a very kind person, but the angel says that is not kind considering what he is going to ask of him in return. She offers to bring him back to life, and our hero shouts that he will kill the Demon King. This angel seems to accept the boy's determination with a serene look. With that, Myosotis begins to use her magic in a large circle of golden light. His body begins to be pulled down back into the real world. The world around him begins to form into blocks. Our boy then finds himself falling back to the village where he faced his beloved. Myosotis says that when the world is saved, his wish will also be fulfilled. However, the angel says he needs to apologize for something very important. Back in the real world, heavy rain falls on the site of the bloody battle. Roland wonders if the Demon King has already left that place. Myosotis explains that he cannot restore his right arm. Our hero is shocked to hear that his greatest ability will be taken from him. We see the bodies of Roland and Felicia lying on the ground. Back to life, Roland holds the body of his beloved in the heavy rain. He then realizes that his right arm is now Felicia's demonic arm. Our hero despairs at the thought of having to fight with the arm of the woman he loved. Kneeling in the rain, he embraces her body one last time, feeling the pain of loss. With his face full of pain and anger, our protagonist grits his teeth in agony. Then he lets out a scream of pure despair that echoes through the rainy night. The scene is desolate with him and the remains of the creature amidst the destruction. The remains of Felicia's demonic armor are scattered across the floor. After all, our hero buries his beloved in a simple grave near his home. Looking at the engagement ring, he remembers the happiness that was taken from him. He stands there for a while saying goodbye to the woman he swore to protect. Our boy puts the ring on a necklace to forever carry his memory. He apologizes to Felicia for having to fight using her arm. Suddenly, Roland senses a presence and turns to face a new threat. Two werewolf-like monsters appear ready to attack our hero. Our protagonist is shocked to see that the monsters' clothes are familiar. He then understands that all the villagers have also turned into monsters. With a heavy heart, he takes his sword and decides he cannot die there. Our boy apologizes but says he needs to finish them off to move on. But suddenly his demonic arm reacts and stops him from attacking the monsters. The demonic arm stops him, and our protagonist's sword falls to the ground. Roland tries to take it back, but his arm doesn't obey, and he can't hold the gun. He then remembers the angel saying that his skill with the sword would be lost forever. At that moment, he didn't understand what she meant, but now it all makes sense. Seeing our hero unarmed, the werewolves advance to finish him off. With no other choice, our boy decides he will fight using only his fists, but suddenly his arm fires a beam of red energy at one of the monsters. Roland is completely shocked and wonders what just happened. He looks at his arm and feels an overwhelming power he has never felt before. Another werewolf takes advantage of the distraction and advances on our protagonist. With an incredible reflex, he holds the monster's mouth with his demonic hand. The strength of the arm is so great that it crushes the creature's head without any effort. The werewolf's body falls to the ground, defeated by our boy's power. He stands there watching the result of his new and terrible strength. Our hero realizes that the power of the arm is beyond any human law. He screams in pain and confusion, not knowing how to control this new ability. Suddenly, a voice calls him, and he sees a survivor in the middle of the burning village. The man looks at our protagonist with an expression of pure terror on his face. He then points to the demonic arm of our completely terrified hero. The survivor screams that Roland has turned into a monster and runs away in despair. Our protagonist is left speechless when he sees the man running away in fear of him. He realizes that the man was right and that he really has become a monster. With this, our hero understands that he can no longer live among humans. In a distant tavern, news of the destroyed village had already spread. One of the men comments that half of the residents turned into monsters and attacked the rest. Another person completes, saying that even the hero Roland also transformed. One of the regulars is shocked and asks if it's the same one who defeated an officer. They deduce that this is why the Demon Kingdom marked him, and now the human kingdom wants to subjugate him. A woman comments that it's a waste that the former hero is now a target. Someone then leaves the money on the table and prepares to leave the tavern. Meanwhile, in a distant desert in the kingdom of Gringard, our hero goes alone. He walks aimlessly through the desolate land, trying to get used to his new life. Our protagonist then begins to train his new arm by crushing rocks with his strength. He spends his days alone in this desert far from any human settlement. Our boy is determined to master this new power for his revenge. He feels that the arm moves almost like the original, But there is a big problem. The only thing he can't do is hold his sword with his demonic hand. He doesn't even want to touch the sword that took the life of his beloved Felicia. So your priority now is to learn to fight with just your new arm. Suddenly a girl with pink hair appears and attacks him by surprise with her sword. Our hero manages to block the attack at the last second and is surprised by the girl's identity. He then recognizes the girl as Solana, the younger sister of his beloved Felicia. The girl is surprised to see that he can still speak the human language. But even so, she prepares to attack him with her energy-filled gauntlets. Roland tries to explain that he didn't turn into a monster, but Solana doesn't believe him and calls him a liar. Furious, she says that if he were really her brother, he wouldn't have left her sister behind. With tears in her eyes, Solana advances, shouting that he abandoned Felicia. Then in a flashback, we see the three together when they were just kids in a cemetery. Little Solana cries, desperately calling for her parents who have already passed away. Felicia tries to comfort her younger sister while Roland watches the scene sadly. She hugs the little girl and says that from that moment on she would be her new mother. The little girl then asks who their father would be now that they were alone. Felicia doesn't know what to say with an expression of pure sadness on her face. Roland hugs them both and asks them to call him Big Brother, and with a determined look he finishes by saying that he will be their new father. Little Solana cries even more but seems to accept the new family that has been formed. She then clings to our protagonist, finding comfort in his embrace. That day she believed that the three of them would be together forever, and she was happy. Back in the present, Solana continues to attack our hero with all her fury. The battle between the two continues as someone watches them from afar. Solana attacks with everything and our hero defends himself from her blows as best he can. The girl unleashes a series of punches and kicks, but Roland manages to block them all. Then she uses a special skill called double palm strike to catch him. The blow throws him back with tremendous force, but he manages to stay on his feet. Our protagonist uses the demonic arm to protect himself and looks at the girl seriously. Solana calls him a stubborn fool and says she just wants to free her brother as soon as possible. Roland yells at her to stop and insists that he is not a monster even with his arm. The girl then angrily asks why her sister is no longer there, and she keeps asking about the grave he dug for Felicia in the village. With tears in her eyes, Solana cries out asking why things ended like this. Our hero looks away and sadly says that she saw everything that happened, but the girl says that monsters deceive people and remembers that it was he who asked to be her brother. She then says she won't let her body suffer anymore and prepares another attack. Your gauntlet begins to glow with an intense golden energy. With that, she advances at high speed towards our protagonist. The girl screams at him to do nothing as she prepares the finishing blow. Solana then uses her explosive rock fist and slams it into the ground. The impact of the blow destroys everything around in a huge explosion of dust. After the dust settles, the girl stands in the middle of the destruction. She then realizes that he managed to escape by jumping onto a very high rock. Roland realizes that the girl is completely shaken and will not listen to any explanation. He understands that he can't blame her because she lost her sister and now sees him as a monster. Our hero then begins to think that maybe she isn't entirely wrong about him. He remembers Felicia's lifeless body and the pain he felt at that moment. But our boy wonders how he can make her see the truth that he didn't kill her. He understands that expecting her to accept the truth now would be unrealistic on his part. So our protagonist thinks about simply leaving quietly to avoid further conflict. Suddenly, our hero's expression changes as he realizes a new threat is approaching. The girl also seems to sense the presence and stops, running looking to the side in surprise. A giant monster appears behind her, and Roland screams desperately for her to be careful. Before she can react, the creature hits her with a powerful blow. The girl is thrown away by the impact of the monster's attack. With that, Solana falls to the ground completely defenseless and injured. Falling to the ground, she spits blood and can barely move after the blow. The monster prepares for the final blow as she calls out to her sister and Roland. The monster then raises his club to finish off the girl once and for all. But our hero advances with his demonic arm and punches the creature with everything he has. Solana remains on the floor without understanding anything when she sees what just happened. Our protagonist's fist pierces the chest of the screaming monster with a look full of hate. Roland says that they keep taking everything from him. He remembers that the woman he loved most and his right-hand man took away his peaceful life. Our protagonist looks at Solana lying on the ground and wonders if they are going to take her away. With a determined look, he swears he will wait for them one by one. His arm begins to glow with red energy, and he prepares to attack. Then Roland shouts that he will destroy them, all to the last one with all his power. After the battle, the ground is cracked and covered in blood and remains of the monster. Our hero realizes that when he grabbed the monster's arm, he absorbed its strength. He then understands the true power of his demonic arm to absorb abilities. In the midst of the destruction he sees, Solana still fallen and realizes what happened. Our protagonist understands that this power is not gentle like Felicia, but rather a power that takes away. Later, the two are sitting around a campfire in silence. Solana finally understands the truth and remembers the Demon King and her sister's transformation. She is shocked to realize she was wrong about our hero all along. Our boy then apologizes for not being able to protect her. He stares into the fire with a blank, sad expression on his face. With tears, Solana apologizes, saying that he is the one who is suffering the most. She blames herself for not knowing anything and for attacking him without thinking. Our hero says that everything is fine and that it is not her fault at all. He then says that he is the only one to blame for not being able to keep Felicia safe, and with a look full of hate he swears revenge against the damned Demon King. Roland says he will hunt the Demon King across the world and end him with his own hands. With a look full of determination, the girl does not stay behind in the decision. Solana then says she will fight alongside him, which surprises our hero. She places her hand over his in a gesture of union and mutual promise. The girl reminds him that they are a family, and he shouldn't carry this burden alone. Our protagonist is left speechless by the girl's loyalty and affection. He then agrees and says that Felicia was also taken from her and revenge is not just his. The next day, Solana is ready to leave, but he asks how they will find the villain. He explains that the Demon King belongs to no land and appears without warning, but he remembers that the villain appeared when he defeated Maladgo, one of the officers. Solana understands his logic and says that in this case she knows where to start. She says that among the recent rewards, there is one with a very large prize. The bounty is for the 7 spirits of Maladgo, and the rumor is of a ghost in his castle. With that, the girl suggests that if the rumor is true, this should be their first target. They then set off together, determined to hunt down the ghost of Maladgo. With that, the two travel north across the desert towards the castle. That's why he hides his face and bandages his arm as they travel down roads less traveled. Solana stares at him silently, looking a little thoughtful. The girl then says that it has been a long time since they last traveled together. Our hero says it's been 2 years since they were in the same group. He explains that he couldn't take her on his high-risk, low survivability missions, but the girl says she has become stronger and that together they will not lose to anyone. Roland remembers that even with his sword, he couldn't even scratch the Demon King. Then he says that if it were the 3 of them together, including Felicia, things would be different. Our protagonist remembers the angel's promise and believes there is a way to bring her back. With a smile, Solana says that it is better to think so and that they will fight together. He notices that the girl is trying hard to cheer him up and is touched by the gesture. Just like Felicia did when they lost their parents, she is trying to be strong for him. Our hero smiles and agrees that it's a good idea to think positively. Solana breaks into a radiant smile when she sees that she has managed to cheer up her brother. Our protagonist feels grateful to have her by his side during this difficult time. He then swears that he will fight with his new arm and protect Solana at all costs. After a long walk, they finally arrive at the imposing castle of Maladgo. Solana asks if he came here when he defeated the officer, and if anything has changed. Our hero responds that nothing has changed since the last time he was there. The place remains the same dark and menacing as before without any changes. He then notices that the fire on the throne is still, which can only mean one thing. With this, the MC concludes that Maladgo is still alive and hiding somewhere. Our MC then warns Solana not to let his guard down. Suddenly, a mysterious voice says that Lord Maladgo is not in the castle. Then a demon boy appears and introduces himself as Kronos, the caretaker of the place. Kronos then recognizes our hero and asks how he managed to survive. With a smile, he says he heard that the Demon King had finished off Roland. Without thinking twice, our protagonist advances with a powerful kick at the boy. But Kronos easily dodges and complains that he was still in the middle of his speech. Then the demon tries to attack Solana from behind, taking advantage of her distraction. Our hero manages to block the attack in time. Solana is shocked and realizes that his speed surpasses that of Maladgo. Kronos then looks at our protagonist with a smile. He says he is happy to see Roland's right arm and identifies it as a woman's. The demon starts laughing and says he needs to report this information to the Demon King. Kronos thought a demon would answer his questions. He says he is kind, and so he will only answer one of the questions. He reveals that Maladgo went to Okuna village, where the survivors are rebuilding. Roland and Solana are shocked to learn that he plans to destroy the city again. The demon then taunts them, saying that he will not stop them from leaving. Our hero stands there thinking, but Solana urges him to go to the village. He decides he can't abandon the survivors here. Our hero then says he will not forgive any of his kind and turns to leave. Kronos mocks the threat by saying that our protagonist is scary, but he reveals that he will not report anything because the situation has become very interesting. Meanwhile, chaos broke out in Okuna village with houses catching fire. One of the survivors screams in pain as he is held down by a gigantic being. This being is Maladgo, who asks the man where our hero's body is. The demon general boasts that being in charge of a region is the greatest honor. He remembers when he was defeated by our protagonist and the feeling of humiliation. Maladgo does not accept having been the first officer to be defeated by a mere human. Then, with a cry of fury, he declares that he will do it all again to win. He says he's back from hell and he's going to drag Roland back there with him. The survivor then asks if Roland wasn't turned into a monster by the demons. Maladgo is surprised to hear that our protagonist has become an abomination. He says this story doesn't match what the Demon King told him. The man is terrified when he realizes that the demon did not know about the transformation. The general then demands that the survivor tell all the details of what happened. Before the man could say anything, Maladgo noticed a new presence and told him to stop. Our hero speaks, surprised to see him alive in front of him. Maladgo returns the provocation, saying that it was his speech, and laughs at the situation. He says this is perfect because it saves him the trouble of looking for our protagonist's body. Maladgo shouts that he wants to fight to the death once more with our hero, but our protagonist says that the general's conclusion was a big mistake. The villain then realizes that there are obstacles blocking their duel. Solana shouts that she will not follow his whims, and that she will also fight. With that, Roland uses his demonic arm to stop the girl from intruding. Then Maladgo summons fire soldiers from the ground to attack the village. He says his flame soldiers will burn all the villagers alive, and he says that if the girl tries to save them, he won't stop her from going. The girl is furious with his twisted logic and calls him a demon. The general explains that all he wants is a fair duel with our protagonist. Solana then decides that she will stop the soldiers and trusts her brother to fight. Our hero agrees and asks her to protect everyone in the village. While he fights, he reassures her that he has already defeated him once and will not lose again. With that, the girl runs to save the residents, trusting our hero. Maladgo then prepares to rewrite the ending of their last battle. He notices the boy's demonic arm and comments that things are different. The villain asks about the sword that defeated him and says he planned to break it. But our protagonist tells him to stop talking and come to the fight right away. The general calls him boring as always for not wanting to talk before the fight. Without patience, the villain advances with everything towards him. In his thoughts, our hero admits that he only said that to calm Solana down. He knows he is at a disadvantage without his sword, and with the power of the strongest enemy. The balance between them has completely shifted, and the fight will be much harder. But even so, our protagonist refuses to lose this battle again. He decides to treat his demonic arm as if it were his old blade. With this, he tries to deflect the general's blow instead of facing him head-on. Our boy manages to dodge the attack with impressive agility. Even without the sword, his battle instincts remain as sharp as ever. But the general shouts that he is too soft and hits him with a powerful blow. The impact throws our hero away, but he manages to recover in the air. Our protagonist understands that the reach of an arm is much shorter than that of a sword. The general notices the movement and how he managed to soften the blow in the air. Then Malago decides to use an even more powerful attack to finish him off. Our hero is on alert as he sees the demon preparing his next move. With that, the general launches his infernal roar, a devastating blast of fire. The attack explodes everything around our protagonist in a large ball of fire. Our boy realizes that the flames of the abyss are much stronger than before. He knows that if he gets hit hard, it will be the end for him. The general then taunts our hero by asking what is wrong with him. But our protagonist says that maybe what he said that day was wrong. And with a determined look, our hero says he's going to prove it to him now. The general then jumps and tries to crush our protagonist with his axe. Our boy realizes he can't go on like this and needs to use his power. With that, he decides he has no other choice but to unleash all his power. He then uses his arm of usurpation ability and grabs the general's arm. Malago is shocked to feel his power being drained by our hero. He holds his demon arm tightly to absorb all his energy. With the stolen strength, he delivers a powerful blow to the general with his arm. The attack throws the villain away with a tremendous impact and a lot of dust. But our hero realizes that the blow did not have much effect on the enemy. Malago says he was shocked that he stole his power, but that's not enough. The general then laments that their rematch ended so pathetically. Our protagonist has his arm turned to stone after absorbing the power. Malago calls him grotesque and asks what he thinks he is doing. Our hero then angrily says that he has no right to mock her arm. The general is confused and asks what he means by her. Suddenly, Malago starts laughing out loud and says that he only now understood the situation. He then realizes that the arm belongs to our hero's beloved, who has turned into a monster. Our protagonist remembers Felicia and apologizes for becoming a hero. The general calls him pathetic and sentimental and threatens to ask the Demon King for Solana. Our protagonist says that the absorbed power is still not enough to win. He yells that he can't lose to the general again and tells him to disappear. Malago then uses his infernal roar once more at full power. But our hero screams for his arm to steal all the power from his attack. With that, he advances against the blast of fire, determined to absorb everything. The village that was already in flames is now even more destroyed by the power. The fire spreads everywhere, consuming the houses and the battle scene. The demon general watches with a cruel smile on his face at the result. Our protagonist then appears with his arm on fire and says he will steal all the power. He explains that by consuming the general's power, his arm now has the power of fire. Malago is surprised to see that our hero managed to steal even his flame. He looks at our protagonist with a serious and angry look, but he says Roland couldn't absorb it all, and now he's all bruised up. Our hero responds that it's just a scratch, and that he won't give up. The general then prepares to strike with his axe and shut him up. Our protagonist admits that the damage was not light, but he will not give up. He then prepares a counterattack with twice the power of the stolen fire. With that, the two advance against each other in a devastating clash of powers. The impact of the blows creates a large crack in the ground. Malago is shocked to see that his axe has been broken by our hero's power. Our hero explains that he is using the flames to increase his strength and speed. The general then looks at his broken axe and doesn't seem too shaken. He tells our protagonist not to think too highly of himself, just because he managed to steal his flame. Then Malago begins to unleash all of its firepower in an overwhelming explosion. He says our hero's firepower doesn't even come close to his. With that, the general engulfs himself in flames and shows the true power of his flame. He then advances towards our protagonist as a giant fireball. Malago shouts that our hero is 1,000 years too early to challenge him in the fire. Our boy then prepares for the clash of the two powers in a great explosion. Solana, who was fighting the fire soldiers, stops and looks at the battle. She seems worried about the outcome of the clash between the two giants. The clash of powers creates a wave of energy that spreads throughout the village. The two then face each other in an exchange of fire and blue energy blows. Malago shouts that with this his firepower will increase even more. Our hero feels the incredible power of the fire and the pressure of the general's attack. He knows that his body won't be able to handle the flame for long, but he doesn't give up. Our protagonist then realizes that is exactly this firepower that he needs. The general is shocked to see that our hero is absorbing even more of his flame. Furious, he decides to increase his firepower even more to crush him. Both scream and release all their power in a final confrontation. The general transforms into a fire beast for his final attack. He then advances with everything ready to incinerate our protagonist once and for all. But our hero says he warned that he would absorb all of his power. With this, he manages to absorb all of the general's flame into his arm. Malago is shocked and shouts that it is impossible for him to have achieved such a feat. Then our protagonist delivers a final blow to the demon with all the stolen power. The general is speechless when he sees that his own flame has been used against him. With his power stolen, the villain's body begins to slowly disintegrate. He then feels a chill and realizes that his defeat is inevitable. The general's body falls to the ground, completely defeated and lifeless. Our hero looks at his arm and feels the tremendous power he now possesses. He knows he won't be able to use the same power as the final blow, but he can use the flame multiple times. With this, he understands that he can defeat the officers and steal their powers for himself. He then asks Felicia to lend her strength until he can achieve his revenge. At that moment, Solana calls him, and he turns to see the girl approaching. She says she defeated most of the demons, and the rest burned to the ground. The girl then asks worriedly if our hero is okay. He reassures her that it's nothing, and that he's fine despite everything. Solana then suggests that they get out of there before a subjugation squad shows up. She worries that they will attack him like a demon. Solana realizes that his desire for revenge is making him reckless and needs to support him. She then helps him walk as they leave the destroyed village behind. The survivors he saved watch the two leave in silence. They see our hero and his companion walking away amidst the destruction. One of the men calls out to Roland and asks if he really hasn't turned into a monster. Our protagonist stops walking and remains silent, not knowing what to respond. The man says he thought he had become a monster like all the others. He then adds that despite everything, our hero is still human. He wonders if he can really say he's not a monster after all. He remembers all the battles and the demonic power he now possesses. Before he can answer, Solana interrupts and says that of course he is human. She shouts to the villagers that he is still the same big brother he always was. The girl says he fought Malago and saved everyone like a hero. Solana completes by saying that he has always been the village's greatest hero and he is Roland. Memsi is moved by the girl's words and calls her by name. The survivor agrees and says that Roland is human and their pride. He then thanks them for rescuing them and for always taking care of everyone. The other residents also surround him, thanking him and showing their support. One of the men says he will report to the suppression squad that the rumor was false. Our MC thanks him, but asks him not to do this as misunderstandings are inevitable. He explains that once doubt sets in, it is not easy to erase it. Residents understand that even if it were a rumor, it would be dangerous for them. One of the men says that this way the entire kingdom will think our hero is a monster, but our protagonist reassures him and asks them to take care of the village while he is away. With a serious expression, the man agrees and says that they will take care of everything. The two then prepare to set out on their journey of revenge and redemption. One of the survivors asks them to wait and offers to tend to their wounds. He then says that they will return to the village one day when this is all over. Suddenly, the remains of Malago's body begin to glow with a purple energy. Purple smoke surrounds the two, and a voice says the connection has been made. Our protagonist turns around in surprise and sees the spectral figure of the demon Kronos. Kronos appears in projection form and says he can only speak like this. Our hero realizes he can hear him, but cannot feel his presence. The demon then comments that Malago was defeated again by our protagonist. He explains that necromancy can only reanimate a body once, and the general was all ready. Our boy asks who he is, and if he isn't one of Malago's men. Kronos says he came to introduce himself because he was appointed by the demon king. With an evil smile, he reveals that he is the new officer who will replace Malago. With that, a new threat appears in our hero's path, and his journey becomes more difficult. Our protagonist is shocked to learn that the boy is a new officer in the demon army. Kronos then reveals himself as the high necromancer successor to Malago. He says he knows about our hero's desire for revenge, but the demon king doesn't care. But Kronos says it would be a shame if all his efforts to win were in vain. Our boy asks what he wants, and the demon says he loves human despair. He comes closer and says that someone like our protagonist is a delight for him. Kronos says it would be a waste to finish off our hero so quickly, and with a cruel smile he comments that he is anxious to see what will happen when he loses Solana. The girl is not intimidated and screams that she will fight and make him regret underestimating her. The devil laughs and says that without hope, despair cannot spring. So he encourages them to give it their all to defeat him next time. Kronos then says goodbye and his projection disappears into thin air, leaving the two behind. Solana comments that he disappeared and that looking there would be useless now. Our hero understands that Malago was resurrected by him, and now there is a new officer. He realizes that if with each defeat a new officer emerges, the fight will never end. The only answer for him is to end all the demons once and for all. Suddenly, Solana perks up and says that if resurrection magic exists, so there might also be a way to bring your sister Felicia back to life. Our protagonist is surprised by her conclusion in the midst of all the confusion, but he smiles and says that's so typical of her to think optimistically. Our hero agrees and says that with the objective that they just need to move forward. But first he says he needs to take care of his injuries so he can fight better. Solana then says with a smile that after that she will train him personally. She explains that as a fighter, she has much more experience in martial arts than he does. With a confident look, the girl says that she will be the one to strengthen him. Later, our protagonist has the same dream as before in a white and empty room. He then sees Felicia's figure in front of him and is happy to see her again. The girl appears with a gentle smile and a golden aura around her. He regrets not being able to talk to or touch her, and wishes the dream gave him more freedom. Our hero then wonders if she also feels bored in a place like that. Felicia just smiles at him, calm and understanding as always. The two stand in front of each other in a silence full of meaning. Suddenly, he sees a flame that seems to be the power of the Malago that he absorbed. Our protagonist asks if it's not hot, but the flame seems harmless. The girl then looks at him with a sweet and gentle smile on her face. With that, she approaches and gives him a warm kiss before disappearing. Our hero is surprised and happy with his beloved's gesture of affection. He then closes his eyes, feeling the warmth and love she transmitted to him. Back in the real world, our protagonist wakes up and sees Solana taking care of him. She greets him with a smile and says she heated up some soup for him. Solana says that after breakfast, they will begin the day's training. Our hero looks at the flame in his hand and thinks that it is okay to go this way. The girl then says that they will resume the unique training they started yesterday. She points to him and says his main weakness is his footwork. Our protagonist agrees and admits that his weight and space control is still not perfect. He remembers that in the fight with Maladgo, he lost a chance to attack because of this. Solana then tells him to try to do what she taught him the day before. Our boy agrees and prepares to show what he learned from her. He then positions himself and begins to move with surprising agility. Their movements are quick and precise, raising dust and leaves from the ground. The movement is so fast that it disturbs the birds that fly away. He then throws a punch in the air that almost hits Solana in the face. The girl is shocked by the speed and power of his blow. She yells, asking why he didn't do this when she taught him yesterday. With her eyes shining, she wonders if he is also a martial arts expert, but our hero says that it's not quite like that, and that he had time to practice. He explains that he stood guard all night and practiced the movement repeatedly. Solana is impressed by his dedication and calls him careless. Our protagonist is a little embarrassed by her compliment. She then smiles and tells them to try the reverse move now. Solana teaches you not to create a gap and to control the space around you. She worries about him because she knows he fights recklessly without thinking about life. The girl says he can fight multiple opponents without being surrounded with this technique. But our hero says they will stop using this fighting technique. He explains that even if he tries to replicate it, he can't match her series of attacks. Solana is a little embarrassed and surprised by the compliment about her speed. Our protagonist then says he has an idea to use his own characteristics against his rivals. He reveals that there is a region of hellhounds ahead, and he has a plan for them. Our hero remembers that when he defeated Malago, there was a request for subjugation for these monsters. He then cuts his hand and lets the blood drip onto a rock to attract them. Our protagonist says he will make sure Sepharana is safe during the plan. With that, he throws the bloody stone into the middle of the forest to attract the monsters. The smell of blood spreads through the forest and attracts the attention of something. Glowing red eyes begin to appear in the darkness of the forest. A pack of hellhounds appears and begins following the trail of blood. Solana is worried when she sees the amount of monsters coming. Our hero says that the most essential thing about a combat technique is whether it can be used. He then prepares for a practical rival test against the hellhounds. Meanwhile, two children walk alone through the forest calling for help. They look lost and scared. One of the children says it's lethal to come to a place like that, but the other child is Kronos in disguise, who says everything is fine. He tells her with a cruel smile that she will not be dragged into a hero's fight. Back in the fight, our hero prepares for the real combat of many against one. He knows that the hellhounds act in packs, with multiple leaders and coordinated attacks. With that, he yells for the monsters to come and shows them the scent they were tracking. One of the hellhounds with sharp teeth and red eyes advances with everything. The monster runs at high speed, ready to attack our protagonist. Our boy prepares to attack, and the creature jumps on him. With his demonic arm, he can easily hold the monster in the air. Solana then screams desperately that they are also coming from behind. Our hero realizes that the monsters are cunning and attack in a coordinated manner. He remembers what Solana said about the hit and run tactic to avoid being flanked. But our protagonist decides that he will not use this tactic and will fight head-on. With a war cry, he unleashes each blow with everything he has on the monsters. He then hits one of the hellhounds with a powerful and accurate blow. With this, he steals the energy of the defeated enemy and uses it for the next attack. This way, he can maintain his attacks with high destructive power. Our hero screams that he will plunder the power of all of them, even if his life is at risk. He is determined not to back down until his revenge is complete. Solana is impressed and says he is already starting to find his own way of fighting. Our protagonist continues to fight the monsters with mastery and precision. After the battle, he looks around and notices that a new wave of monsters is approaching. He notices that these hellhounds are bigger and stronger than the previous ones. Our hero then says that the training was enough and prepares to finish off the pack. Suddenly, he senses a presence in the forest and goes on high alert. He realizes that the pack leader is using his men as bait to escape. With a war cry, our protagonist advances with his arm in flames and blue energy. Meanwhile, Kronos is with a girl lost in the dark forest. The girl says she wants to go home and asks if he knows the way back. Kronos points in a direction and asks if her village is that way. He then says that if they get there it should be okay for her. But with a macabre smile he reveals that it is all a lie and there is nothing beyond that. He says she will be attacked by a hellhound, and if she wants to blame someone, blame Roland. Kronos then says goodbye to the girl and disappears, leaving her alone and terrified. The girl doesn't understand anything and wonders where the boy went. Alone in the dark forest, she begs not to be left behind. She begins to gasp in fear as she hears the sounds of the forest around her. Suddenly, she feels a presence approaching, and her body freezes with fear. The girl screams that she doesn't want to die as tears stream down her face. But before the creature could attack the girl, our hero appears and saves her with a powerful blow to the monster. With a flash of red, the young warrior strikes down the hellhound, shielding the small girl from its claws. He holds her protectively, wondering why a child would be all alone in such a dangerous forest. The terrified girl looks up, her eyes wide as she notices his large, demonic-looking arm. He feels a sense of responsibility, determined to protect her since his actions lured the monsters here. Looking down at her, he gently tells the girl to close her eyes and covers her face with his hand. He runs while carrying her, realizing the cunning hellhounds are attacking now that he can't fight freely. As he flees, another monster lunges from behind, but his focus remains on protecting the child. He blocks the creature's attack, knowing that staying on the defensive will cause him to lose his absorbed energy. The pack continues to press forward, putting him in a difficult position as he struggles to defend them both. Suddenly, Solana crashes into the fight with a powerful kick, telling him that he can rely on her. He looks up in surprise and relief, calling out his companion's name as she joins the battle. She apologizes for being late and immediately shifts her concern to the well-being of the child. He explains he found her being attacked, and the girl tearfully introduces herself as Lily. Solana gives a cheerful thumbs up, saying it is a good sign that the girl is able to speak. He then carefully entrusts Lily to Solana, asking her to keep the child safe from the fight. With the girl out of harm's way, he turns to face the massive pack of hellhounds that now surrounds him. Meanwhile, Solana holds Lily close and gently asks if she has been hurt at all. The hero seems a bit confused, scratching his head as he confirms the girl's name again. His companion then asks Lily why she was wandering alone in such a dangerous part of the forest. The child looks down sadly, explaining that she was with a boy who has since disappeared. She continues, saying the boy told her he would take her home but vanished after leading her to a certain spot. The hero deduces she was likely lured by a demon that might still be targeting her. Solana then asks Lily if she remembers the exact way she came, and the child confidently confirms she does. Lily points towards a path in the woods, telling them her home, Koriki Village, is over there. The young man looks toward the village, taking in the sight of the small settlement from a distance. His companion notes the village is far from town, making it a safe place for him to go without being found. He then turns to Lily, showing her his demonic arm, and asking if she can keep its existence a secret. The little girl innocently asks why, surprising him by saying she thinks his arm is cool. Her eyes sparkle as she explains it is cool, because that was the arm he used to save her life. He covers his face, embarrassed that she saw the fight even though he told her to keep her eyes closed. Solana adds that she is also glad he was there, and his arm looks pretty cool to her too. He looks down at his arm, questioning if something so monstrous could truly be seen as cool. The young girl just gives him a warm and reassuring smile, as if she truly means it. He looks at his hand again and reluctantly agrees that maybe she has a point after all. The group finally arrives at the entrance of Koriki Village, a small and peaceful-looking place. They walk through the quiet marketplace, noticing mostly older villagers and a few women going about their day. Now wearing a hood, he observes that the lack of young men makes it less likely he will be recognized. Lily points to a quaint house up the road, announcing that it is her home as she calls for her mother. A woman appears at the doorway, welcoming her daughter back before asking about the strangers with her. Lily excitedly explains that her new friends saved her from a monster. Her mother holds her close, asking if she is all right. The child confirms she is fine because they protected her. Lily explains that if they had not been there, she would have been in real danger, shocking her mother. Feeling guilty for causing so much worry, the young girl looks down and apologizes. The woman hugs her daughter tightly, telling her she understands and is just glad she is safe. From the doorway, the hero and his companion watch the touching family reunion unfold. Lily's mother then turns to them, apologizing and expressing her deep gratitude before asking for their names. The pink-haired girl cheerfully introduces herself as Solana, a traveling martial artist. When she hesitates to introduce him, the hero quickly gives the fake name Laura. The woman finds his name a bit unusual, and he apologizes, noting it sounds like a woman's name. She waves off his concern and insists on treating them to a meal as a thank you, despite not having much. Turning to her daughter, she asks for help with the meal, and Lily happily agrees. With everything settled, the mother warmly invites both of the travelers to come inside their home. Once inside, he quietly complains to Solana about her using his usual fake name. He remembers playing the role of her big brother in the past, a memory tied to that very name. Changing the subject, he asks if she has noticed the distinct lack of men in the village, which she confirms. He suspects a demon has made its base nearby and has been preying on the local men. He decides they will stay for a while to defeat the demon and use the opportunity to become stronger. Solana understands, agreeing they need to develop new fighting styles and abilities for his arm. He adds that bringing peace to the world is a long-time dream they all share, and she agrees wholeheartedly. Just then, Lily peeks out from the doorway, curiously asking if they are coming in. The hero quickly replies that they are coming, and they follow the little girl into her home. Outside, the village remains quiet, mostly inhabited by elderly people like an old man resting with his cane. Inside, the two travelers sit at a wooden table, sharing a warm meal with Lily and her mother. Lily proudly asks if the food is good, pointing out she cut the vegetables, which are noticeably large. After tasting it, Solana praises the girl's cooking, though the mother humbly apologizes for the simple offering. His companion insists that the apology is not needed, reassuring the woman that the stew is truly delicious. The mother smiles sadly, explaining that she has struggled since her husband passed away 5 years ago. The hero removes his hood, his expression serious as he asks if demons were responsible for his death. She confirms it, revealing that demons have been living in some old ruins on the village outskirts for years. The woman continues, saying her husband was one of their victims, and that Lily was too young to remember him. Solana asks why she does not just leave, but the mother replies that they have nowhere else to go. She explains that the village chief requested help from the guild, but their plea was pushed aside. The young man knows this is common, as demon clearing requests from small villages often get buried. The mother clutches her apron, feeling she cannot complain when other places might be suffering more. He looks at her with a steady gaze, telling her that she should not have to think that way. His compassionate words seem to catch both Solana and the woman by surprise. He continues, stating firmly that the suffering of others is no reason for her and the village not to be saved. The mother looks at him with tears in her eyes, addressing him by his real name, Roland. He tells her to lead them to the ruins, promising to handle the subjugation. She seems unsure. Before she can finish, Lily jumps in to defend him, proudly declaring that her big brother is strong. The child quickly covers her mouth, and her mother smiles, telling her it is nothing. The hero reassures her, confidently stating that even if they do not look like much, they are quite capable. Later, the two stand on a hill, reflecting on how people have grown too used to the existence of demons. He believes people should not have to endure such scum, and for that reason, they will fight back. They arrive at the ruins, confirming with each other that this is the place and demons are likely inside. Standing before a dark cave entrance, they note that the unknown layout and potential traps make entry dangerous. The young man agrees, acknowledging that it is a basic rule of adventuring to never carelessly enter enemy territory. He then says he has a trick for these situations and asks Solana to lend him some gunpowder. Although a speed-type martial artist, his companion also uses magic tools like gunpowder to boost her power. One of her main tools is a pair of gloves infused with explosive magic and gunpowder. Combining his arm's plundering ability with the flames of Maladgo, he channels a powerful energy. He tells Solana he will use this power, preparing to launch a devastating attack. He throws the supercharged gunpowder, sending a massive wave of red and blue energy toward the cave. The entrance to the ruins explodes in a brilliant flash, shaking the very ground beneath them. He declares that the best way to deal with a nest is to wipe the whole thing out in one go. Solana worries about the historical value of the ruins, but he insists the living are more important. With the entrance now a pile of rubble, he announces that their real fight is just beginning. Suddenly, the ground rumbles, and the entire structure of the ruins begins to collapse inward. He mutters in annoyance as they are forced back by the collapsing cave, wondering what is happening. As the dust settles, a massive stone figure begins to rise from the rubble. From a hidden spot within the ruins, a demonic figure realizes the collapse was not an accident, but an attack. The creature with a monocle snarls, understanding what this means for his carefully laid plans. He slams his fists down in fury, enraged that someone has dared to interfere with his territory. The demon fumes, having already made sure to eliminate every strong human from the village one by one. The hero stares up at the golem, certain it must be the demon who killed Lily's father, and a troublesome one at that. He knows that demons often weave complex schemes to drive humanity into despair, a trait inherited from their lord. Their underlings are typically mindless monsters that kill relentlessly, unlike this constructed foe. Golems are merely earth animated by magic, meaning they are not living beings he can drain energy from. The stone giant brings its massive fist down, aiming to crush the young warrior in a single blow. He catches the colossal punch, straining as the ground beneath him cracks from the sheer force. As his demonic hand glows, he finds he is unable to siphon any power from the non-living creature. A bead of sweat rolls down his face as he realizes this golem is an unexpected natural counter to his arm. From his perch, the demon watches with a bored expression, annoyed that his creation is being held back. Just then, Solana bursts through a wall, launching a swift kick at the demon's head. The creature dodges with ease, deciding to deal with the girl he dislikes before getting back to his fun. He glares at her with a menacing look, vowing to finish all of his intruders right here. Meanwhile, the fight against the giant golem rages on, with the hero and his companion dodging its attacks. He notes that while the golem is not an elite monster, it is still surprisingly capable in combat. The stone giant then raises its arms and issues a command, preparing to summon reinforcements. The ground begins to shake as an army of smaller golems rises from the earth to join the battle. He tells Solana he is counting on her, recognizing this pattern is just like his fight against Maladgo. She warns him that she has never fought such a massive golem, and it is too risky to face it head-on. The giant golem raises its fists, roaring that it will crush them both at once. With immense speed, the creature's colossal stone fist plummets down toward the young warrior. He catches the blow with his demonic arm, the impact creating a powerful shockwave around him. While he is occupied, one of the smaller golems lands a solid punch on his side. Solana quickly leaps in, shattering the attacking golem with a single, powerful kick. He struggles against the weight, realizing he cannot break the fist. Without using his stolen energy, his companion calls out to him, trying to get his attention as the smaller golems close in. She yells that he is not using his weight properly, reminding him about his footwork training. Remembering her lesson, he stops his foot down hard, planting himself firmly on the ground. He channels the force from his stance up through his entire body, and into his demonic arm. A burst of red energy erupts from his hand, completely shattering the golem's massive stone fist. He realizes he can win by using technique to magnify the impact instead of relying on raw strength. The giant creature's arm crumbles away, sending large chunks of rock and dust flying everywhere. The hero now knows that with this method, even an opponent he cannot drain will take damage. Solana watches in disbelief as his attack shatters the seemingly indestructible stone. To her shock, a brand new arm immediately begins to sprout from the golem's damaged shoulder. The demon smirks from his hiding spot, explaining that a golem's form can vary and now has a humanoid shape. He then reveals himself with a flourish, announcing his title as the Archdemon. The golem morphs and regenerates, its new arm now a massive, house-sized club. The hero pushes off the regenerated arm, realizing its regenerative speed is formidable. He dodges another powerful strike, barely avoiding being crushed by the golem's relentless assault. He grits his teeth, impressed by the creature's incredible regeneration and morphing speed. The golem raises its newly formed weapons, a spiky mace and a sharp drill, its power clearly not to be underestimated. He recalls that the only way to stop a golem is to destroy its core, but this one likely has several. With a determined look, he knows his only path to victory is to find and destroy every single core. Just then, his companion shouts for him to swap positions, and he turns to see what she has planned. She leaps high into the air, using the golem's own body as a springboard to gain height. She explains that since he is hunting for cores, her superior speed makes her better suited for the task. With incredible agility, she zigzags up the golem's massive body, running along its arm toward its head. The puppet master watches from afar, muttering in annoyance at the girl's persistent interference. As she runs, the golem swings its arm to swat her away, but she expertly dodges the attack. She flips through the air, narrowly avoiding the swipe as chunks of stone fly past her. Though the golem is tough, she has a plan to find its weak spots, and it is not by smashing it randomly. As she lands a precise strike, she feels the vibration and senses the location of a core. Meanwhile, the young warrior holds off the smaller golems, determined not to let his companion shoulder the burden alone. She strikes the golem's chest and shoulder, locating 2 more cores and declaring that she wants to be the one to back him up. She yells for him to swap now, then calls out the locations of the 3 cores she found. The demon's eyes widen in shock and anger as he realizes the intruders have discovered his golem's weakness. Praising his companion for a job well done, the hero dashes forward with incredible speed. He leaps high into the air, soaring toward the golem's shoulder with his fist cocked back. With a powerful kick, he shatters the stone and exposes the core hidden within. He spots the glowing blue gem, his demonic arm already crackling with red energy to destroy it. The puppet master curses from his hiding spot, realizing his creation is about to be taken down. As the first core is destroyed, the golem's body begins to crumble and collapse. The demon yells in frustration and sends the golem's remaining arm to crush the young warrior. He lands on the golem's arm, his own hand glowing as he drives it into the stone. His arm plunges deep into the creature's chest. Searching for the second core, he finds and shatters the second core, causing more of the golem's body to break apart. The stone giant is rocked by a series of internal explosions as both cores are destroyed. Pace grits his teeth, knowing he cannot maintain the golem's current size with only 1 core left. The remaining parts of the golem begin to shift and reform, preparing for a new transformation. The last core, now glowing a bright yellow, becomes the centerpiece of the new form. His companion lands nimbly on the ground, both of them preparing for what comes next. The puppet master cackles as he reveals his creation's flight mode, now a floating, armored vessel. With a final command to retreat, Pace and his transformed golem begin to fly away from the battle. The demon decides there is no need to stick around, wondering who these uninvited guests even are. He is content to just torment the weak to survive, and that is all he needs from his life. As he makes his escape, a blast of fire shoots past him. The puppet master taunts her, claiming her attacks are too weak to break the golem's core. But the girl smirks, revealing that she has a trump card up her sleeve for just this occasion. She plans to overload her magic gloves with all her remaining gunpowder for a single, ultimate attack. With a fierce cry, she unleashes her power, launching herself directly at the fleeing demon. Pace's eyes widen in terror as a brilliant flash of light engulfs him completely. The blast is immense, sending a powerful shockwave across the entire battlefield. After the cataclysmic explosion, all that remains of the golem are chunks of shattered rock. The demon lies defeated on the ground as the two heroes stand over him, victorious. Terrified, the puppet master begs for his life, pleading with them not to kill him. The hero grabs him by the collar, asking if he was the one who lured a young girl into the forest. The demon nervously denies it, claiming his method is to kill the adult men first to torment the children. He explains that he enjoys making helpless children feel despair as they watch their protectors die. Convinced he has proven his innocence, he begs to be let go, but his cruelty only angers the hero more. The young man realizes that if the demon is not lying, then someone else must have tricked Lily. The defeated creature summons a small piece of his golem, hoping for a surprise attack. He lunges forward, shouting that he has caught the hero off guard, but his attack is easily blocked. With a single powerful punch, the young warrior sends the demon flying, defeating him for good. All that is left of the puppet master is his shattered monocle lying among the rocks. The hero notes that unlike high-ranking demons, this one left no lingering power behind. His companion calls out to him, and they decide to head back to the village for now. Ivelcha spoke to Kale, explaining that defeating the masked one was no longer necessary, for the scope of their mission had already shifted. False appearances had begun to collapse, and the mass was degrading from within. Her husband Jiro had done enough. His silence spoke louder than any command. Tyle decided that whatever deals of love or alliances remained with the outsiders had lost their meaning. Time itself was changing, and the others from Mordor's Senchum began to feel uneasy. Many wrestled with lies, and the path forward became unclear. The women insisted on stopping, but I wanted to see the end. Ilana tried to calm everyone, saying that the Krians were preparing for the arrival of Irisqua, who would bring peace to the village. But now her arrival seemed impossible. Something had blocked her path. Below, the wind whispered through the valley. Gentle voices and masked figures moved quietly, as observers prepared for what was coming. Some spoke of frustration, others of hope. A demon messenger had promised to bring truth and peace to the dreaming town. Hyro, cool and calm, stood first among them, ready to receive his reward. Ivaltia considered the city's fate. Two paths lay before her, one sentimental and close to her heart, the other leading toward a greater cause and movement. In the distance, commercial banners fluttered over Durian Gringle, while mystery and calm filled the air. On a poster, the face of a living puppet master was drawn with gentle lines, a mysterious figure whose calm yet serious lips seemed to hold the key to everything. Ivaltia observed him, feeling that the grand guild of the altered world had finally begun to show its true meaning. He disagrees, pointing out the danger of going to Altred as the target of a kingdom-wide hunt. He explains that he has been in and out of that city many times, and someone at the guild will likely recognize him. If a fight were to break out in such a crowded place, it would be impossible to avoid hurting innocent people. His companion kicks her feet, reminding him that bounty requests for minor demons often get buried. She rests her head on the table, admitting his monster transformation was big news, but still asking if it is okay. She insists they need to restock on money and supplies like gunpowder and new gloves, so they should go shopping. She gets close to him, arguing that Altred is the only place they can get everything they need. Leaning across the table, she looks at him expectantly, trying to convince him with her determined gaze. He wonders if she is trying to keep his connections with people intact, so he does not become isolated. Feeling he cannot turn away her kindness, he finally agrees to go, but refuses to enter the guild himself. The commercial city of Altred is the largest in the Gringard Kingdom, a bustling hub of trade and commerce. Located at the heart of the kingdom, it is a central point for all manner of goods from across the land. Iron, food, medicine, weapons, and even magical items are all traded and shipped out from its ports. Where goods and money gather, people naturally follow, making Altred a very populated city. Thanks to adventurers and the kingdom's night corps, the city remains lively even in an age of demons. The hero knows that if the Demon King truly attacked, the city's defenses would not stand a chance. He puts on his hood, noting the town is as lively as ever as he and his companion enter the city. They walk through the crowded streets, knowing they will be fine, as long as they do not draw any attention. His companion reminds him that first and foremost, they will need money to buy anything. She volunteers to go to the guild to file the subjugation report while he looks for an inn. While walking through the busy streets, the young warrior tries to find a place to stay. Suddenly, a commotion nearby catches his attention, and he turns to see what is going on. A large man is harassing a young shopkeeper, accusing him of selling faulty, damp gunpowder. The shopkeeper nervously denies it, claiming he does not even remember selling the man any gunpowder. The larger man grabs him by the collar, accusing him of forgetting and demanding proof of his innocence. As he watches the scene, the hero thinks that bloodthirsty is a better word than bustling for this town. He knows the truth is that this prosperous city is actually crawling with shady and dangerous people. In a place like this, everyone is on their own, too wrapped up in their own lives to help others. Even with the town's prosperity, the constant threat of demons looms in the back of everyone's mind. He steps in, grabbing the bully's arm and telling him to leave the shopkeeper alone. The man turns, enraged by the interruption, but the hero calmly stands his ground. With his demonic arm glowing, he points out that the man cannot even prove he bought the gunpowder there. The bully feels an immense pressure from the hero's grip, finding it hard to breathe just from being held. With a final warning to watch himself, the young warrior shoves the man to the ground. The grateful shopkeeper thanks him profusely, asking how he can ever repay his kindness. The young man offers to throw in some of his gunpowder for free as a token of his gratitude. The hero declines, instead asking him to give the same courtesy to a female black market fighter who might come by. The shopkeeper is moved by his noble request, even though the hero does not know which gunpowder Solana uses. He eagerly agrees to the request, promising to leave it to him as the hero walks away. With the situation resolved, the young warrior decides to resume his search for an inn. He passes by opulent buildings and well-dressed nobles, a world away from the struggling villages. He continues his solitary walk down the long, grand staircases of the prosperous city. As he walks along the waterfront, he feels a strange presence nearby, putting him on high alert. He thinks he did not mean to stand out, but a swirl of blue energy appears right in front of him. He sighs, realizing that, as expected, he could not slip past the eyes of this particular person. The energy solidifies, revealing a blonde-haired man who calls out his old acquaintance's name, Charles. He remembers his past life before he lost his arm, when he spent his days slaying monsters and demons. He was a capable warrior, fighting fearlessly against hordes of skeletal soldiers on the battlefield. He once faced down the massive boss of a skeleton army, ready to take it on by himself. Just as he was about to be overwhelmed, a powerful ice spell froze the giant creature solid. The ice shattered the monster, and behind it stood a calm and powerful-looking figure. That figure was Charles, a powerful mage who always seemed to appear at just the right moment. The man introduces himself as Charles Glass, asking if his old friend Roland is hurt. The hero could only stare in shock as the huge monster was taken down in a single blow. Charles insists on checking him for injuries, much to the hero's embarrassment. As the eldest son of a prestigious magic family, Charles was a nobleman who fought on the front lines. His strength was undeniable, but more than that, he cared deeply for his comrades, regardless of their rank. Because of this, he was trusted by both royals and commoners, and often teamed up with the hero. Charles accepts the hero's invitation to his nearby village, honored to be asked. The two warriors then head to Akuna village, the hero's peaceful home, before it was destroyed. Arriving home, he calls out to his sister Felicia, announcing that he has returned. A beautiful woman with long white hair turns to greet him, welcoming him back with a warm smile. Just then, a younger Solana peeks out from behind a corner, excited to see their guest is Sir Charles. Charles greets the young girl, noting that it has been a while since they last saw each other. Felicia introduces herself to the guest, and he bows politely, expressing his pleasure. He then formally introduces himself as the eldest son of House Glass and an administrator for the kingdom. She is shocked to learn that their guest is a nobleman from the prestigious House Glass. Flustered by his status, she offers to tidy up their small home, but he kindly tells her not to bother. Solana chimes in, reassuring her sister that Charles is not the type of noble to look down on them. He adds that noble blood is just blood, and when fighting demons, everyone is simply human. Felicia is touched by his words, calling it a wonderful way of thinking for a nobleman. The younger girl teases him, saying that even so, he still looks like a highborn gentleman. The hero puts his arm around his sister, telling her that Charles is a dear friend and he hopes they get along. She agrees, and the two formally greet each other, both pleased to finally make the other's acquaintance. Later that night, the warm light from their cozy home spills out into the dark, peaceful forest. The four of them gather around the dinner table, sharing a hearty meal of steak and bread. The hero helped with the cooking, and Charles brought along a bottle of fine wine to share. For a while, they all laughed and forgot about the war, enjoying a rare, peaceful evening together. Charles turns to his friend, telling him he has a wonderful family, and the hero agrees. He confides in Charles that while he talks of saving the world, his true desire is to protect this simple peace. Charles is moved by his friend's wish and offers his help to protect that peace, no matter the cost. The hero bumps his fist against his friend's, saying he should be the one asking for that kind of help. Back in the present, the hero's bandaged arm clenches into a fist as the memory fades away. He tells his old friend that he is aware of the bounty, but Charles already knows about it. The nobleman explains that as a friend, he feels it is his duty to end the hero's suffering. Charles smiles, sensing there is more to the story than what the rumors and wanted posters say. The hero asks if he is willing to listen to a monster's tale, and Charles agrees without hesitation. He is confident in his strength, knowing he can handle whatever his old friend has to say. The hero smirks, admitting that his old friend is just as dependable as he remembers. He proceeds to tell Charles everything that happened, from the destruction of his village to the loss of Felicia. Charles listens patiently, his expression somber as he learns the truth about what happened to his friend's sister. Consumed by rage and grief, the hero vows to make the Demon King pay for what he did, no matter what. His friend asks what Felicia would think if she could see him now, consumed by vengeance. The young man looks down, admitting he will never truly know how she felt, but his path is set. He turns to walk away, stating that this chosen path is all he has left in his life. Charles sighs, realizing he cannot stop him, and says he will pretend they never met. The hero apologizes but promises that they will definitely meet again in the future. As he watches his old friend walk away, Charles agrees that their reunion is inevitable. After the hero is gone, Charles senses a dark presence behind him and turns to face it. The boy who once looked like him appears, greeting the nobleman. The boy introduces himself as Kronos and says he has been wanting to meet the Azurice of the Glass family. With a swirl of blue energy, Charles readies himself for battle, telling the boy to come at him. His eyes glow with power as he challenges the demon to show him what he is truly capable of. Meanwhile, at the inn, Solana comments on how nice it is, surprised that it even has a shower. Now in her sleepwear, she thanks her companion for grabbing her clothes while she was washing up. She asks if he explored the town, but he reveals that he ran into their old acquaintance, Charles. He explains that he told Charles everything, and the nobleman agreed to let him go for now. Though he cannot rely on him, it seems the royal knights will not be searching for him in this town. He then asks how her trip to the guild went, and she confirms she collected the reward with no problems. She proudly shows him a heavy bag of coins and a new supply of high-quality gunpowder. She explains she got a special discount for being a female martial artist, much to her delight. He then asks if she found any new information, but she says the request for his capture was buried. He presses further, asking about Kronos or the Demon King, but there is no new information on them either. She tries to cheer him up, saying no news is good news, and he agrees it is a good thing. He knows that at the very least, Kronos is after him, so their paths will inevitably cross again. Until then, he vows to keep killing demons and stealing their power to grow even stronger. His companion watches him, a hint of concern in her eyes, but she simply agrees with his plan. She then pulls out a map, suggesting a route for their journey to continue their hunt. She points to a path where they can fight boss trolls and Nagus, while also subjugating a black, armored demon. She also notes that this route will take them by Karaki village, and he agrees it is a good plan. Solana stretches happily, glad that their plans are finally settled for the time being. With their immediate future decided, she flops onto the bed, ready for a good night's sleep. The hero also lies down, closing his eyes as he finally allows himself to rest for the night. As he sleeps, Solana quietly gets out of her own bed and approaches him. She reaches out to him, asking her deceased sister if she can hear her thoughts. She wonders if she is truly supporting him, the way her sister would have wanted her to. She remembers a time when Felicia asked why she would do something as dangerous as becoming an adventurer. The young girl had proudly declared she was not clumsy enough to trip over nothing, much to her sister's annoyance. She explained that, because she was always reliant on them, she wanted to do something on her own. Her older sister understood, telling her that if she had decided, then that is what she should do. Felicia then made her promise to stay by their brother's side as he fights his battles. The younger sister vowed that in her place, she would be the one he could come home to for rest. The two sisters held hands, their bond strong as they made their heartfelt promise to each other. She remembers how the three of them promised to always support each other as a family, but ever since that day, her brother has been in the midst of a never-ending battle. She knows that with her sister gone, she has to be the place where he can find rest and peace. She clenches her fists, understanding she cannot take her sister's place, but she can still be there for him. The next morning, she wakes him up, cheerfully wishing her big brother a good morning. He greets her back, asking if she slept well after their long and eventful day. With a bright smile and a thumbs up, she confirms that she slept like a log. And so, the two companions set out from Altred, ready to continue their journey. They fight their way through hordes of monsters and demons, steadily growing stronger with each battle. Their path eventually leads them back to the familiar forests surrounding Karaki village. As they walk, Solana stretches, noting they have taken down plenty of monsters and should be close. But the hero suddenly stops her, telling her to wait as he senses something is wrong. He looks around the dark forest, recognizing a distinct and unsettling smell in the air. His companion asks what he means, and he explains it is a dangerous plant-type monster known as a corpse garden. Since there was no report at the guild, it must have just appeared, so they decide to eradicate it. They venture deeper into the forest, the air growing thick with a strange, sweet scent and glowing petals. As they approach a clearing, they see the source of the smell, a field of beautiful, glowing flowers. The girl finds the sight both beautiful and creepy, a sentiment her companion shares. He knows that as long as the flowers are empty, they are fine, but his words are cut short. He punches a nearby vine, only to find it is not empty at all. To their horror, they see several bodies hanging from the vines, drained of their life force. The girl looks up in shock, her eyes wide with terror as she realizes what has happened. Among the victims, she recognizes a familiar face. It is Lily's mother, lifeless and ensnared by the vines. Suddenly, a massive flower bud rises from the center of the garden, its tendrils reaching for them. The bud unfurls, revealing a monstrous maw filled with writhing tentacles and sharp teeth. The monstrous flower looms over them, its tooth-filled maw and writhing tentacles ready to strike. The hero says they must defeat it first. Dealing with Lily's mother can wait until they are no longer in danger. Suddenly, the creature's sharp tendrils lash out, whipping down towards the young warrior with incredible speed. He gets caught in the vine's grip, but he grits his teeth and begins to struggle against them with all his might. Power surges through his demonic arm, which glows with a menacing red light as he prepares to retaliate. He unleashes his arm of plunder, sending out a powerful shockwave that instantly shatters the vines holding him. The large monster seems to multiply, as countless smaller flowers suddenly sprout from the surrounding vines. The two companions now find themselves completely surrounded by the swarming plant creatures. Standing back to back, his companion panics at their numbers, but he warns her not to be fooled. It is all the same individual. The girl feels overwhelmed, unsure of what she is supposed to do against such a widespread threat. At that moment, one of the flowers takes aim and spits a stream of purple liquid directly at her. She freezes, her eyes wide with terror as the dangerous projectile flies straight toward her face. But her companion jumps in front of her, catching the attack with his hand and identifying it as poisonous liquid. His demonic arm begins to absorb the venom, and he declares that he will be taking this power for himself. He uses his arm of plunder, again absorbing the corpse's poisonous liquid into his demonic limb. After taking in the attack, he leaps high into the air and hurls the concentrated poison back at the monster. He lands back on the ground, watching as the poison splashes against the creature, seemingly having no effect. The hero realizes that, as expected, the monster is resistant to its own poison, rendering the attack useless. Knowing this, he decides to change strategy. He now declares that if the poison doesn't work, he will burn the entire garden of corpses with this flame. He unleashes a powerful swipe with his fiery arm, sending a wave of flames sweeping across the ground. The intense fire quickly spreads, engulfing the monstrous flowers and their tangled vines in a roaring blaze. His companion realizes that since the entire plant is connected, the flames will travel through all of it. The fire races up the main stalk, causing burning pods to drop as the creature rises in its final moments. Meanwhile, the girl prepares to defend herself, her own fist glowing with concentrated purple energy. At the same time, the dying monster unleashes a final attack, bombarding the hero with glowing seed projectiles. He recognizes that the fruit is bursting, a last-ditch effort to counterattack with its seeds. But the young warrior remains unfazed, dismissing the desperate attack with a determined expression. Surrounded by blue and red energy, he declares that he will not be stopped by something so trivial. With the battle over, he stands amidst the smoldering remains of the defeated corpse garden. He then turns his attention to his companion, who is now kneeling beside the body of Lily's mother. The hero calls out to her, asking about the woman's condition and hoping there is still a chance to save her. After checking for a pulse, she confirms their worst fears, stating that the woman has been dead for a while. Overcome with grief, he begins to cry, questioning why something so tragic had to happen. The hero looks on, also wondering why Lily's mother would have been killed in a place like this. Just then, his companion calls out to him, noticing something clutched tightly in the deceased woman's hand. They both look closer and discover that the woman was holding a folded piece of paper, a letter. The note asks him to come to the West Forest for news about Lily's safety, but insists he come alone, and it is signed with his name. He stares at the signature, realizing that someone must be impersonating him to lure the woman there. He is confused, asking what is going on with the letter and what this all means for Lily. He clenches his fist, admitting he does not know what is happening, but he vows that he will not forgive those responsible. Pulling his hood up to conceal his face, the young warrior decides they must hurry to Koreki village. The two companions then set off, running along the dusty path leading toward the familiar village. Upon arriving, his companion notes that the village seems safe and suggests they go straight to Lily's house. However, he stops her, sensing that something about the atmosphere of the village feels wrong. Suddenly, an old man's angry voice erupts, demanding to know what they are doing there. The two warriors are taken by surprise as a group of villagers quickly surrounds them with hostile intent. The elder leading them accuses the hero of being a pawn of demons and asks where he has taken Lily's mother. The young man tries to explain that there must be a misunderstanding, as he has no idea what the elder is talking about. The village elder dismisses his claim and demands that he show them his right arm. The hero is stunned, wondering how the man could possibly know about his demonic arm. The elder takes his hesitation as confirmation of his guilt, declaring that this settles the matter, trying to de-escalate. The hero says they will leave if they are not trusted. He just wants to see Lily. The old man scoffs at his request, accusing him of having brainwashed the young child. He then reveals that Lily is no longer there, stating they could not keep her in the village in her state. The hero's expression hardens with anger as he demands to know where they have taken the little girl. The elder retorts that this is a question they should be asking him, not the other way around. He explains that Lily tried to protect them, already knew about his arm, and was not in her right mind. His companion tries to intervene, as they don't understand the situation. The hero insists that they didn't harm Lily. He asks where he got the idea that he's a demon. The village elder tells him not to play innocent, then turns to his companion, asking if she has been brainwashed too. He points accusingly, declaring that all of the hero's evil deeds were revealed to them by an ice mage. The girl looks on in shock, hearing the man mention her companion's abominable right arm. The hero is stunned as the elder also accuses him of killing his own lover, a baseless and cruel lie. He immediately wonders if the ice mage could be his old friend Charles, who he recently encountered. The elder adds that just before Lily's mother vanished, she received a letter from a man named Roland. The old man clenches his fists in regret, muttering that he was suspicious from the start and should have acted sooner. He then turns to another villager and gives him a sharp command to proceed with their plan. The man holds up a strange device, explaining that the mage gave it to them with orders to fire it if the hero showed up. Without hesitation, the villager activates the device, unleashing a blindingly bright pillar of light. The light shoots into the sky as a signal. The elder declares that the kingdom knights are on their way. The two companions stand frozen, completely cornered, and wondering how this could have happened. Shaking off the shock, his companion tells him not to be depressed, vowing that she will handle finding Lily. He looks at her for a moment, then nods, telling her that he is counting on her to succeed. As she turns and begins to run, one of the villagers shouts that she is trying to escape, but the elder tells them not to chase her, deciding it is best to leave her capture to the knights. He watches with a grim expression, stating there's something more important they need to do. The old man declares they must break the young woman's brainwashing. In the distance, a unit of armored knights on horseback rides through a dark forest. The knight leading the charge commands his soldiers not to break formation and to speed up their advance. The hero, having escaped into the forest, notes how competent the kingdom knights are for arriving so quickly. However, he knows they are not his true enemies. The real problem is figuring out who orchestrated this entire situation. He firmly believes that Charles would never betray him, concluding that someone must be trying to frame them. With a clear goal in mind, he runs through the forest, determined to find Charles and get some answers. Meanwhile, the girl is captured by the villagers and is being led into a dark, rocky cave. She recognizes this as the cave where Lily must be imprisoned, her expression grim as she looks around. The cave is surprisingly large, with several branching paths leading deeper into the darkness. The elder whispers to another villager, confirming they will take her to the spring room before caging her. They lead her through the shallow, icy water of a subterranean stream, her hands still bound tightly. With a stern look, she faces the old man as he stands nearby, holding his pitchfork like a guard. They tie her arms up, hoisting her above the ground as she nervously watches them prepare for something. One of the men holds her clothes, and she asks in confusion what they are doing to her. Suddenly, they begin throwing buckets of the cave's icy water at her. She shivers as the icy water soaks her clothes. The elder explains that the water in this cave is as cold as ice, a method to shock her back to her senses. They continue to douse her with the freezing water, shouting at her to return to her senses. She gasps and shivers, the cold seeping into her bones, but she refuses to give in to their demands. The elder leans in, asking if she has had a change of mind after the harsh treatment. Despite the cold, she looks at him with defiance and states firmly that her big brother is not a monster. The frustrated old man orders the others to put her in a cage. One of the villagers asks the elder what they should do if the brainwashing proves to be unbreakable. The old man turns away with a somber expression, stating that while it is sad, their village's food is limited. He grimly concludes that if the two cannot be cured, they will have no choice but to let them die. The girl is then locked inside a large wooden cage, the heavy door shutting behind her with a thud. As the men walk away, the elder tells her to cool her head, confident she will eventually regain her sanity. Shivering from the cold, the young woman is left alone in the darkness of the damp cave. Suddenly, a small, familiar voice calls out to her, and she looks up through the bars in surprise. She sees Lily in an adjacent section of the large cage and calls out the little girl's name with relief. A bright, determined smile lights up her face as she tells the child she knew she would find her. Lily looks back with wide, hopeful eyes as the girl reassures her that she has come to save her. The girl asks if she is okay, and Lily confirms she is unhurt but admits to being scared of the dark. Thankful that the child is safe, she promises to get her out of the cage as soon as possible. The happy reunion is cut short when Lily asks if she has seen her mother, causing the girl to fall silent. The child explains that everyone has been telling her that she and her big brother are bad people. She continues, saying they accused them of doing something terrible to her mother, making her feel confused. The girl immediately denies these lies, reassuring Lily that they are. Lily's face lights up with relief, saying she knew it. She then recalls that a letter had arrived from a stranger. A flashback begins, showing her mother standing by a window and reading a newly arrived letter. A curious Lily had asked if the letter was from her friend Lola, or perhaps from her big brother and sister, but her mother had turned away with a faint smile, telling her that it was not from any of them. In the flashback, her mother had paused for a moment, a thoughtful and slightly worried look on her face. She then knelt down, telling her daughter that she was going out for a little while that night. The mother smiled gently, asking Lily to be a good girl and wait for her to return home safely. Lily hugged her tightly, confused by her mother's sudden departure and her warning not to go with strangers. Back in the present, the girl kneels in the cage, realizing Lily's mother must have known something was wrong. She looks through the bars with determination, understanding that the woman went alone to protect her daughter. The little girl then asks hopefully if she will get to see her mother soon. Now that she has been found, her companion hesitates for only a second before lying, assuring the child that of course she will. She promises they will see her mother after they escape, knowing the truth would be too much for the child to handle right now. She then asks Lily how often the guards check on her, and the child explains they bring food 3 times. Realizing they have a window of opportunity, the girl decides they must move immediately before anyone returns. Lily looks up at her, scared and confused, asking how they could possibly escape from the sturdy cage. The girl then reveals a small knife she had hidden, explaining she will use it to cut the ropes binding her. With a confident smile, she adds that once her hands are free, she can use the lock-picking tools hidden in her hairpin. The little girl's eyes widen in amazement, exclaiming that her big sister is incredible. Just as she is about to begin her escape plan, she suddenly freezes, hearing a noise from the cave entrance. She quickly tells Lily to be quiet, warning her that someone is approaching as shadows appear in the distance. A heavy footstep echoes through the cave, signaling the arrival of their unexpected visitors. The village elder enters, leading an armored knight, telling him to come this way. After a while, we see him walking toward her. The girl's eyes widen as she realizes the knights of the kingdom have arrived. The knight observes the 2 captives, asking if these are the ones who follow the demon known as Roland. Both the girl and Lily stare back at the knight, their expressions a mixture of fear and uncertainty. The knight turns to the elder, asking if there was any sign of the supposed brainwashing. The elder admits there has been no change, even after their attempts with cold water, which confuses the knight. Dismissing their method as lukewarm, the knight grabs the bars of the cage with a look of annoyance. He then clarifies with a tired expression that his comment was not about the temperature of the water. He grips the elder's shoulder, his tone becoming serious as he lectures the old man on their methods. The knight tells him that when dealing with possible demon minions, he should be much more thorough. Watching the exchange, the girl realizes that with this cruel knight involved, escaping has become far more complicated. Meanwhile, the hero navigates the dark forest, heading toward a specific place he believes his old friend will be. He walks through a clearing holding up a large, distinctive leaf, seemingly following a hidden path. A flashback shows him and Charles on a cliff, recalling how they used such places as meeting points when separated. Arriving at the cliff's edge, he looks over his shoulder, stating that he thought he would find him here. Charles turns to face him, his expression cold and distant under the eerie, purple-tinged sky. The hero tries to explain the situation, insisting that someone is attempting to frame both of them. He suggests that they should work together to uncover the true enemy behind this elaborate scheme. But Charles coldly asks why he has not considered the possibility that he was the one who betrayed him. An aura of menacing blue energy begins to swirl around him. A sinister smile appears on his face, asking why he wouldn't betray someone he hates so much. Our MC realizes his disguise is totally busted and comments that there's no way to fool his opponent's sharp eyes right now. Covered in blue mana, the noble stares down the young man who finally says his old buddy's name, bringing a flood of memories to the surface. We jump back to the past, before the hero lost his arm, back when he spent his days hunting monsters and dreaming of taking down the Demon King. Suddenly, a skeleton charges in with zero chill, ferociously attacking the young warrior who was focused on the battlefield. Sword in hand, the lad reacts fast and delivers a powerful strike, trying to destroy the bag of bones threatening him. However, the fight takes an unexpected turn, and his eyes go wide in shock as he notices a much bigger threat looming right behind him. A colossal shadow covers the hero, revealing the boss of that undead army, armed with an axe, and ready to squash him like a bug. Before the fatal blow could land, we see magical projectiles slicing through the air at high speed, heading straight for the giant monster. The impact is instant, and ice crystals explode against the enemy's carcass, starting to freeze its entire skeletal structure. The powerful magic spreads quickly across the giant's body, turning the scary creature into a motionless statue. The guy responsible for the save shows up moving fast, finishing the spell with precision while the ice does its thing. Amidst the shiny shards, the MC watches in awe as the guy who would become his greatest, Ali, makes a triumphant entrance. The dust settles, revealing the blonde mage standing tall and impressive while the enemy's remains fall around him like fresh snow. With a gentle smile on his face, the newcomer turns and calmly asks if the warrior named Roland got hurt. The kid is impressed, thinking about how the monster was defeated with a single hit without even getting a scratch. Still worried, the MC approaches to check on his friend and make sure he also walked away from that dangerous battle unscathed. This is Charles, the eldest son of the prestigious Glass family and a renowned master of ice magic who leads armies. Even though he's a noble, he fights on the front lines and treats everyone with kindness, being loved by both royalty and the common folk. They were super close, and he remembers the day he invited the mage to visit his village, since their friendship went beyond just fighting. Charles smiles and accepts the invite, saying he's very happy to be called to see his friend's home. We arrive at Okuna village, where the tranquil sunset welcomes the travelers after a long journey of adventures. The door opens, revealing the girl's boots as the hero announces his arrival, letting everyone know he's finally back home. Felicia turns around with a welcoming smile, greeting her brother and mentioning that the other resident is home too. Suddenly, a head of pink hair pops up excitedly from behind the wall, and Solana immediately recognizes the guest, shouting his name. The blonde mage raises his hand to greet the little warrior, commenting that it's been a while since their last meeting. Felicia introduces herself politely, asking if he's an adventurer, and Charles returns the kindness with a formal bow. Then he reveals his full identity as the eldest son of the Glass family and the official administrator of the Northern Territory. The white-haired girl is shocked, covering her mouth as she realizes she's standing in front of high nobility. Embarrassed by their humble home, She tries to tidy up in a rush, but the guest gently asks her not to worry about it. Solana laughs at the situation and reassures her big sister, saying there's no reason to be so nervous around the guy. The little one explains that despite the noble title, Charles usually hangs out in taverns full of common people without any issues. The mage smiles and states that nobility is only in the blood, because when it comes to fighting demons, everyone is human just the same. Felicia watches the guest with admiration, thinking that's a very dignified and humble way to see the world. Solana, on the other hand, makes a face, remembering that despite that, his refined upbringing still shows, even in how he sits at a tavern. The MC puts a hand on his friend's shoulder and emphasizes to his sister that Charles is a very precious companion to him. He smiles sincerely and admits he'd be really happy if Felicia and the mage could get along during the visit. The girl gets the hint and smiles back, saying she really wanted to meet him after hearing so many stories told by her brother. Night falls over the small wooden house, lit only by the warm light coming from the window, creating a cozy atmosphere. On the table, we see a simple but delicious feast with meats and stews prepared especially for that special gathering. The hero says he helped in the kitchen while serving drinks, explaining that the wine was a gift brought by Charles. The lad confesses that he talks about saving the world and defeating demons, but honestly, his only wish is to protect that happy moment. The mage agrees with a smile, saying it's a wonderful wish and asks to help keep that peace alongside him. The MC smiles, feeling he can fully trust the guy he considers his best friend and ally on that journey. The two fist bump, sealing a silent agreement of cooperation, where the hero admits he'll need help to protect everything. But back in the present, reality is cruel, and we see the guy's bandaged arm trembling slightly with the tension of the reunion. Hooted, the MC stares at his old friend and asks if he knows there's an official order for his immediate execution. Charles confirms with eyes glowing with power and admits he was surprised to hear his friend had turned into a monster. The noble preps his ice magic, declaring that as a best friend, it's his duty to give a dignified and peaceful end to that situation. However, he stops the attack and smiles enigmatically, commenting that there seem to be special circumstances in this story. Taking advantage of the opening, the hero asks if the mage would be willing to listen to the words of someone considered a monster now. Charles relaxes his stance, saying he can listen since he trusts his own strength to stop any tricks if necessary. The lad walks calmly, showing that despite his appearance and the rumors, he's still the trustworthy person his friend knew. He starts recounting everything that happened from the beginning, telling him about the attack on Okuna village and Felicia's fate. The hero explains that he's now traveling with Solana and reveals his ultimate goal is to find and defeat the Demon King, whatever the cost. Upon understanding what happened to Felicia, the noble's expression shifts to sadness, and he blames himself for lacking the strength to protect her. Consumed by fury and grief, the hero declares with a dark look that he will avenge his sister's loss, no matter what happens. The mage tries to bring some reason back and questions if this bloody quest for revenge is really what sweet Felicia would want. The MC looks at his cursed arm, while his friend asks what she would think seeing him plunged into such deep hatred. His sister's image appears in his mind, and he admits he'll never know the right answer about her feelings, even if he dreams about it. Decided, he turns to leave, stating that this is the only path left, and Charles watches him go. The hero says goodbye and goes on his way, promising his old friend that they will definitely meet again in the future. Charles watches his companion leave and agrees in a low voice, feeling that this reunion is something inevitable for both of them. But as soon as he's alone in the alley, the mage senses a shadowy and evil presence sneaking up behind him. The noble turns quickly to face the threat materializing from the darkness with a menacing aura. A boy with a strange appearance and a macabre smile emerges from the shadows, greeting the mage with fake politeness. The little demon recognizes Charles immediately and calls him by his famous title of Ice Sorcerer of the Glass family. Without wasting time on small talk, the noble unleashes his blue magical aura and prepares for imminent combat right there. With eyes shining intensely with the power of ice, Charles challenges the invader to show what he's capable of in that duel. Meanwhile, the scene shifts to an aerial view of the city, where we see the rooftops under the quiet moonlight. Inside the inn, we see the girl's bare feet as she praises the place, surprised that the room even has a shower. Solana finishes drying her wet hair with a towel and thanks her companion for grabbing her clothes while she was bathing. The redhead is shocked by the news, but he calmly explains that he told the whole truth and his friend decided to let him go. He says Charles has a reputation to uphold, but it seems thanks to the noble, the kingdom's knights won't search that city. Solana sits on the bed, relieved by the situation, and comments with a smile that this honorable attitude is exactly what you'd expect from Charles. Changing the subject to practical matters, the MC asks how the trip to the guild went, and if everything went well there. All proud, she shows off the heavy bag of reward money and mentions she bought a stock of high-quality gunpowder. The girl laughs, saying she got a special discount for being a martial artist, and the hero is pleased with her success. The lad asks about info on the bulletin board and finds out his wanted poster is already buried among other papers. He questions the whereabouts of Kronos or the Demon King, but the girl confirms seriously that no one knows where they're hiding. Solana comments that no news is good news, implying peace, and the hero agrees while looking at his own cursed arm. But deep down, he knows Kronos is hunting him and that a meeting between the two is just a matter of time. Until then, the MC clenches his fist tight and promises to keep taking out demons to steal their powers and get stronger. The pink-haired girl watches the determination on her companion's face and just agrees with a serious nod of understanding. Then she opens a map on the bed, suggesting a new travel route to continue their monster hunting journey. Her finger points to a path where they can face boss trolls and Nagus, besides subjugating black armored demons. The hero notices this route allows them to pass through Koreki village, where little Lily is, and agrees it's an excellent plan. He smiles, thinking they can trade loot for cash, and finally pay the debt they owe the folks in that place. With everything decided, Solana flops onto the bed, happy as a clam because they won't need to take watch turns and can actually sleep. The lad watches his companion's contagious joy and smiles, relieved to have a moment of rest in a safe inn. Exhaustion hits soon, and the MC lies down, closing his eyes to enjoy that rare night of deep, peaceful sleep. His breathing gets heavy, indicating he fell asleep quickly while the darkness of the room wraps around the silent environment. Solana approaches silently and looks at his demonic hand, asking in her thoughts if her late sister can hear her. She wonders with sadness if she's managing to give the necessary support to her big brother the same way Felicia did. Memories take her back to the past when she told her sister she wanted to become an adventurer despite the dangers. Back then, the little warrior insisted she wasn't clumsy and didn't trip over nothing, trying to prove her worth. Leaning on the chair, she vented that she always depended on her siblings and wanted to do something useful since she was good with physical stuff. Felicia listened to everything attentively with her calm and sweet way, pondering her little sister's will to leave home and fight. With a gentle smile, the big sister agreed, saying that if that was her decision, then it was definitely the best path. They held hands and thus sealed a promise that Solana would fight by his side. The memory of the family oath is revived, and Solana recalls the day the three promised to support each other like a family. But since that day, the big brother never stopped fighting, plunged into a constant battle that seems endless. Now, without Felicia present, the responsibility falls on her, and Solana understands she needs to become the safe harbor where he can rest. She knows if he lets himself be totally consumed by revenge, he'll end up breaking, and that's something she can't allow. The girl clenches her fist tight and admits to herself she can never replace her sister, but she'll do everything possible to support him. Determined to be useful, she promises to become the place of rest her brother needs, so much so he doesn't succumb to darkness. Morning comes bringing sunlight, and the MC wakes up stretching his arm while yawning after a well-slept night. Solana is already awake and smiling, sitting on the bed next to him, wishing a cheerful good morning to her sleepy companion. He returns the greeting and asks if she managed to rest well, enjoying the comfort of the safe inn. With a thumbs up and a radiant smile, the girl confirms she slept perfectly, recharging all her batteries. After that, the duo leaves the city of Altrade behind, heading towards the next destination on their dangerous journey. The path to Kariki village is marked by constant combat, where they face and defeat various monsters and demons. In a dense forest, Solana stretches satisfied and comments that they are almost reaching the village where they intend to rest. She smiles confidently, saying the trip has been smooth so far thanks to the easy wins against the creatures that showed up. But the hero stops suddenly and asks her to wait a moment because his sharp instincts detected something wrong. He smells something weird in the air and warns there's a corpse garden nearby, which puts the girl on high alert. Solana's eyes go wide in surprise, hearing the creature's name, and asks if he's referring to that plant-type monster. The lad confirms seriously, explaining it's a dangerous creature that uses vines to attack people and turn them into fertilizer. He deduces that since there were no reports at the guild, the monster must have appeared recently and decides they need to eliminate it fast. Upon arriving at the spot, Solana observes the glowing flowers and comments that despite being pretty, they give off a creepy aura. The hero punches a nearby tree with force and ends up discovering that the plants there aren't empty like he thought. Solana's eyes widen in pure terror as she notices what's actually hanging on those macabre vines in the dark forest. Several lifeless bodies are trapped in the branches, drained of all life force, serving as food for that cursed vegetation. The girl is paralyzed with fear and can barely believe the horrible scene unfolding right in front of her in that garden. Among the victims, she recognizes a familiar face and realizes with deep sadness that the dead woman is little Lily's mother. The MC is also shaken by the tragic discovery, but he knows there's no time for mourning in that critical moment. Suddenly, a giant bud emerges from the center of the garden, and its vines start moving threateningly towards them. The monstrous flower blooms, revealing a mouth full of sharp teeth and tentacles ready to devour everything around. The lad shouts warning that dealing with Lily's mom comes later because they need to destroy the creature now if they want to survive. But the monster doesn't wait and launches its fast tentacles at them, trying to crush the intruders as quickly as possible. The hero gets caught by the vines but grits his teeth and resists, using all his physical strength to not be dominated by the deadly grip. His demonic arm starts glowing with an intense red light as he prepares a devastating counterattack to break free. Solana watches tensely, hoping her companion's strength is enough to free them from that living trap. He unleashes the power of the pillaging arm, creating a shockwave that shatters the vines holding him instantly. The girl panics at the number of enemies, but he warns not to be fooled, because all of that is a single organism. While he explains the situation, one of the giant flowers rises silently behind the archer, ready to strike a fatal blow. Solana feels overwhelmed, not knowing how to fight such a vast threat, and asks desperately what they should do. Without giving time to answer, the monstrous plant opens its mouth and shoots a jet of purple, poisonous liquid directly at the girl. She freezes, watching the lethal projectile flying towards her face, and fear takes over. The hero jumps in front of his companion and uses his hand to block the poison jet, protecting the girl from imminent danger. The purple liquid covers his palm, and the lad warns he's going to take that power for himself and return it in a brutal strike. The pillaging arm glows, absorbing the deadly toxin and converting that dangerous substance into pure attack energy. Then he jumps high and hurls a concentrated blast of poison against the monster, hoping to cause some serious damage. The MC lands with style, but soon realizes the attack didn't have the desired effect on the plant's hard shell. He clicks his tongue in frustration, noting that, as expected, the creature is immune to its own poison and nothing happened. Without losing the rhythm, he decides to change tactics, and his arm starts emitting intense heat, generating powerful flames. The warrior declares furiously that if poison failed, He's going to burn that whole cursed garden until nothing is left. With a brutal move, he unleashes a wave of fire that rushes along the ground, incinerating the vines trying to block him. The fire spreads voraciously, surrounding both of them while Solana protects her face from the absurd heat coming from it. The girl understands the strategy and comments that since the organism is one, the flames will consume the creature completely. We see the main trunk being swallowed by fire, destroying the plant's base and melting the giant structure. But the monster doesn't give up, and in its final agony, it starts releasing seeds that glow with unstable purple light. The MC realizes the imminent danger of those fruits about to burst, but keeps his expression serious and focused. Suddenly, the seeds detonate in a series of magical explosions, trying to hit the invaders with lethal shrapnel. The hero charges through the smoke and debris, questioning if that desperate counterattack is all she's got. One last flower tries to attack him, but he doesn't even flinch and stares at the plant with disdain, showing he's already won the fight. Covered in blue and red flames, he asserts that something so weak would never be able to stop his advance now. The final blow pierces the creature, causing an energy explosion that lights up the night and pulverizes the plant monster. With the battle over, he turns around worried and asks Solana how things are looking. Solana checks the woman's pulse, with a pale face and sweat running down her forehead, confirming that sadly, she's already gone. The warrior shuts her eyes tight and cries in frustration, wondering how they could let something so terrible happen. The MC watches the tragic scene with a heavy heart, questioning why Lily's mom was in that dangerous place. Suddenly, Solana finds something strange in the victim's hand and calls her companion's attention to the object she was holding. It's a crumpled and dirty letter that the woman was squeezing tight until the final moment of her life, as if it were something precious. The lad grabs the paper and reads the content, discovering a suspicious note summoning her to the West Forest to talk about Lily. What shocks the hero the most is seeing that the signature at the end of the letter is his own name, indicating someone framed him on purpose. He gets confused trying to understand who would do this and wonders what really happened to little Lily amidst all this. But confusion gives way to fury, and he crushes the paper with force, declaring he won't forgive whoever is responsible. Determined to solve the mystery and seek justice, he puts his hood back on and tells Solana they need to rush to Koreki village. The two dash down the road, leaving the dark forest and heading towards the village under daylight. Upon arriving, Solana comments that the place seems safe and suggests going straight to the little girl's house, but he stops her. The hero senses a weird tension in the air, and his instinct warns that something in the village atmosphere isn't normal right now. Suddenly, a furious old man appears yelling and accusing the two newcomers of being servants of demons and enemies of the village. The elder leads a group of villagers armed with farming tools who surround the duo with looks full of hate and fear. He demands to know where they took Lily's mom, but the adventurer couple tries to explain it's all just a big misunderstanding. The old man doesn't want to hear explanations and yells, ordering the MC to show his right arm to prove his innocence. The lad tenses up and sweats cold, realizing the secret about his demonic arm is somehow already known to them. Faced with hesitation, the elder takes this as a confession of guilt and declares the matter settled without a shadow of a doubt. Trying to avoid unnecessary conflict, the hero says they'll leave if they aren't welcome. The old man stares at them with contempt and accuses the duo of brainwashing the little girl, who is now missing. He shouts furiously, revealing Lily isn't there anymore because he couldn't keep a child in that unstable state inside the village. The hero grits his teeth with fury and curses the villagers, demanding to know where they took the girl immediately, or there will be consequences. The elder fires back instantly, saying that question is his, asking how they dare have the nerve to step in the village after everything. He says Lily tried to protect the supposed demons with her own body, and reveals the child already knew about the cursed arm. The old man concludes that with her mother missing, the girl surely wasn't in her right mind to defend monsters like them. Solana tries to intervene, asking for calm, explaining they don't understand anything, and there must be some misunderstanding in that story. The hero asks what they are talking about, but the old man cuts the chatter and demands he show his right arm for everyone to see the truth. The MC freezes and starts cold sweating, realizing his biggest secret leaked, and the peasants already know everything about the curse. Seeing the hesitation, the elder smiles victoriously and says the refusal to show the arm is already the definitive proof confirming his guilt. Trying to negotiate, the lad says they don't need to believe him and promises to leave peacefully if they let him see Lily first. Solana insists they didn't do anything to Lily's mom and asks where they got this absurd idea that her brother is a demon. The village leader doesn't buy it and points a finger, accusing the girl of also having been brainwashed by the villain. He shouts that all that man's hidden evils were revealed to the village by a certain very powerful and trustworthy ice mage. The archer is shocked to hear about the abominable arm and the false accusation that the hero killed his own beloved in cold blood. The mention of the ice mage makes the penny drop, and the MC realizes Charles must be behind this complex setup. The old man continues his speech saying that according to the mage's report, it was the hero who kidnapped and disappeared with Lily's mom too. He reveals that shortly before vanishing, the woman received a suspicious letter signed precisely by a man named Roland. Clenching his fists, the elder layman saying he was suspicious from the start and regrets not acting against them sooner. Then he turns to another villager and gives the order to proceed with the emergency plan, activating the magical signal flare. The hero trusts his partner and charges in, creating a distraction while she runs to try and find where little Lily is. One of the villagers wants to chase the fugitive, but the elder stops him, saying they should leave her capture to the knights. The old man looks with a serious expression and states they now have a bigger priority, which is curing the supposed brainwashing. We see Solana has been cornered by armed peasants and is on the ground, about to undergo the purification process. Meanwhile, in the dark forest, an elite troop of the royal cavalry advances rapidly towards the village. The formation leader shouts orders to keep up the fast pace because the objective is close and they can't waste time. Hiding behind a tree, the MC praises the knights' competence for arriving at the scene so quickly. He knows the knights aren't the real enemies and tries to deduce who set up that whole chaotic situation. His mind rejects the idea of betrayal, and he states with conviction that Charles would never do something like this to frame him. Determined to discover the truth, the lad runs through the woods, decided to find his mage friend and clear up the situation. Far from there, we see the pink-haired girl being taken by villagers into a dark, damp cave. She looks back worried and realizes that hole in the mountain must be where little Lily is trapped. The cave is surprisingly big and full of winding paths, making her notice the difficulty of getting out of there. The old man whispers to a henchman, ordering them to take the prisoner to the spring room before throwing her in the cell. They walk through shallow water covering the cave floor, guiding the tied-up girl into the depths of the darkness. Solana stares at the elder suspiciously while being watched closely by the man armed with a pitchfork. Her hands are tied up high by a rope, leaving her suspended and vulnerable before the captors. One of the villagers approaches with a bucket, and the girl asks, confused and scared, what they intend to do to her. Without warning, they throw a bucket of freezing water on her, explaining that thermal shock serves to bring back sanity. Solana gasps with the impact of the icy water and stands trembling with cold. The old man repeats the question about her attitude change, but the girl, panting and cold, responds firmly that her brother isn't a monster. Frustrated, the elder orders them to take her to the cell, saying they'll continue the process until the supposed mental spell is broken. One of the residents asks worriedly what they'll do if the brainwashing can't be undone, and they keep defending the demon. The old man, with a sad look, replies that the village food is limited and in that case, unfortunately, they'll have to starve to death. The prisoner is thrown inside a dark cell, and the iron door slams shut, locking her far from any hope. The elder walks away, telling her to cool her head and believe that soon she'll recover her sanity and understand the situation. Alone and shivering, Solana hears a familiar, weak voice calling her from the other side of the dark cell bars. She turns surprised and sees little Lily also imprisoned in the same cave and shouts the little girl's name, relieved to see her alive. A smile of hope lights up the warrior's face as she tells the child she knew she'd find her somewhere. Lily holds the bars with small hands and looks at her savior with teary eyes as she hears she came to rescue her. Solana asks worriedly if the girl is hurt, and Lily replies she's physically fine, but admits she's scared of the cave's darkness. The older girl promises to get the little one out of there ASAP, but her smile vanishes when Lily asks about her mom. The child says the villagers told her that her mom disappeared because of the big brother and that he's a wicked demon. Lily confesses, crying that she's confused by everything happening and asks if that could be true in any way. Solana denies it vehemently, saying it's all lies, and Lily breathes a sigh of relief, remembering something strange that happened before the disappearance. She says her mom received a mysterious letter from a stranger, and the scene shifts to a flashback, showing the woman reading the note. Little Lily asked if the letter was from someone she knew, but the mom smiled sadly and denied it with a worried expression. In the flashback, the mom knelt before her daughter and said she needed to go out that night, asking her to be a good girl and wait. They hugged, and the woman warned Lily never to go with strangers, making it clear she knew something dangerous was coming. Back in the present, Solana kneels in the cell and realizes Lily's mom sacrificed herself going alone to the meeting to protect her daughter. Little Lily asks with eyes shining with hope if she can see her mom soon now that she's been found in the cave. Solana hesitates for a second, swallowing hard, remembering the body found in the forest, but decides to lie to protect the child. With a forced smile, she guarantees they will definitely reunite as soon as they manage to escape that horrible place. The warrior thinks to herself that telling the cruel truth at that moment would be an unbearable shock to the girl's mind. Focused on the escape, she states the absolute priority now is getting out of that cell before the guards come back to check. Solana asks Lily how often the villagers come to the cave to check on her. The child thinks a bit and answers innocently that they bring food 3 times, which gives an idea of the guard routine. With this info, the pink-haired girl concludes they have precious time until the next visit and decides to act fast. She announces decisively that they need to move immediately, taking advantage of the security gap to start the escape plan. Lily looks confused and scared, asking how they'll manage to get out since the cell looks very sturdy and secure. Solana smiles confidently and reveals a small knife hidden in her boot, explaining she'll use it to cut the ropes binding her. She adds excitedly that once her hands are free, she can use the lock-picking tools hidden in her hair clip. The girl widens her eyes, impressed by the older sister's skill, and exclaims admiringly that she's amazing. But before the plan could start, Solana freezes upon hearing a noise coming from the cave entrance echoing off the walls. She quickly signals for absolute silence to Lily and whispers warning that someone is approaching. Heavy, metallic footsteps resonate through the environment, indicating the unwanted visitors aren't simple villagers. The old elder enters the cave guiding a knight in full armor and points the way to where the prisoners are. Solana watches tensely as the imposing figure walks towards them, and her eyes widen recognizing the uniform. She realizes with terror that the kingdom's knights have finally arrived, and the situation just got a whole lot more complicated. The knight stops before the cell, analyzing both of them coldly, and asks if these are the followers of the demon Roland. The knight stares at the 2 prisoners and asks with disdain if they are the followers of the demon named Roland. He closely observes every detail of the girls in the cell, while little Lily shrinks back, scared behind her companion. The soldier turns to the elder and questions seriously if there's been any sign that the supposed brainwashing is fading. The old man denies, shaking his head, and explains they've been trying to cool their heads by throwing ice water, but without success. Gripping the bars tightly, The knight comments with scorn that this water method is too lukewarm for the situation. His expression shifts to something more sadistic, making it clear he's not at all pleased with the villager's softness. With a cold look, he clarifies he's not talking about water temperature, but about the lack of rigor in the punishment. The armored man grabs the old man's shoulder firmly, startling the elder with his intimidating and authoritative presence. He warns in a threatening tone that when dealing with potential demon servants, it's necessary to be much more thorough and cruel. Hearing that terrible conversation, Solana realizes with despair that the escape plan just became much more complicated. Meanwhile, in the forest, the hero runs through the trees believing he knows exactly where to find his target right now. He holds a leaf following a secret path and trusts his intuition about his old friend is correct. A memory surfaces showing the day they agreed on a specific meeting point in case they got separated on the mission. In the flashback, they agreed the cliff overlooking the village would be the ideal spot to reunite in an emergency. Back in the present, the MC arrives at the agreed spot on top of the cliff. Expecting to find someone there, he looks over his shoulder and says out loud he knew he'd find his companion waiting for him in that isolated place. Charles is standing there with his back turned under the night sky, and the atmosphere around him feels strangely heavy and dark. The hero approaches, trying to explain that someone is setting them up to frame both of them and creating all this mess in the village. He suggests urgently that they join forces again to investigate thoroughly and find out who the real culprit behind this is. But Charles appears from behind a bush, wondering why he didn't consider that he was betrayed by his own friend. The hero walks through the dark forest, following his intuition and seeking the secret spot where he knows he'll find answers. He arrives at the edge of a large cliff under the starry sky, remembering that was an old meeting point of theirs. The memory surfaces showing the day they agreed to use that high place to regroup if they got lost. Back in the present, the MC sees the familiar silhouette and says out loud he knew he'd find his companion there. Charles turns slowly with his cape fluttering and stares at the newcomer with a calm, indecipherable expression. The lad tries to explain the situation, saying someone is setting a trap to frame both of them in all that confusion. He suggests urgently that they unite forces again to investigate and discover who the hidden true enemy is. But the mage's reaction is strange, and the hero gets confused, not understanding why his friend doesn't seem surprised by any of it. Charles releases a threatening blue aura and asks with a cold smile why he didn't consider the chance of being betrayed. The noble smiles sinisterly and confesses, right to his old ally's face, that actually, he always hated him with a passion. The hero is shocked and shouts, asking the reason for that since they fought together as companions for so long. The mage preps his ice magic and replies coldly that unfortunately, he never considered the lad a true companion. Without warning, he fires sharp ice spikes at his old friend, starting a deadly combat right there. The MC dodges the fast attacks, while hearing the traitor say that in times like these, you gotta be smart. Charles charges with an ice blade, stating the smart way to live is to use everyone around for your own benefit. The warrior lands agilely, kicking up dust, and realizes peaceful conversation has become impossible at that moment. The mage praises the opponent, noting that even without the sword and old skills, he hasn't lost his incredible brute strength. He admits he allied with the hero so many times just because his strength guaranteed easy results and quick victories in the war. Desperate, the lad shouts asking if it was all fake and if the smiles on those nights in the village meant nothing. The villain replies that those smiles of happiness were indeed real. Charles smiles in a macabre way and comments that in the end, the hero's sister was a very beautiful woman. The MC hears that in shock and starts cold sweating, unable to believe the malice his old friend is spewing. The noble confesses with a malicious smile that he wanted to make the girl his, despite knowing the siblings loved each other very much. He explains coldly that since the warrior always threw himself against powerful demons, it was certain he'd die sooner or later. The mage reveals then that his original plan was to take Felicia for himself as soon as her brother died in some battle. But Charles says with hate that fate changed everything because she was the one who died instead of him, and that's why he feels such resentment. The hero understands everything and asks indignantly if it was for this twisted reason that the traitor ruined his reputation in the village. The villain agrees with his back turned, but warns with a dark tone that this is only part of the revenge, and something is still missing. He mentions Solana's name and asks maliciously what will happen to her now that she's been captured by the villagers. Charles blushes sickly and says that although she doesn't look like the deceased sister, the youngest serves as a consolation prize. He clenches his fist, promising to kill the hero and blame the demons, so he can later have fun alone with the defenseless girl. The MC's blood boils with rage, and he screams with disgust, saying he never imagined his friend was such huge trash. The maid shrugs, smiling, and says, "No one sees another's heart, so everyone should act only for self-interest." The warrior tries to argue, accusing the opponent of justifying his own rottenness, using the memory of the deceased as an excuse. Tired of that useless conversation, the noble raises his hand, glowing blue, and warns the time for discussion is over for good. The ground freezes instantly when he releases a wave of powerful magic, forcing the lad to try and retreat immediately. But the ice advances too fast and traps the hero's legs on the ground, leaving him immobile and vulnerable to the next attack. The MC widens his eyes in panic and swears loudly, trying desperately to break free from the cold trap that caught him. Charles exploits the flaw in defense and comments with disdain that fighting humans leaves too many openings. An ice pillar explodes directly against the hero's body, releasing energy that lights up the night. Charles smiles hearing the hit and seems satisfied seeing the talk is over and the real battle is starting now. The MC looks scared, realizing he can't move with his feet completely frozen to the ground. Charles exploits the advantage and praises the opponent's power, saying it'd be a problem to get hit by that dangerous arm. But he warns confidently that he'll pass on that and doesn't intend to get hit by such a devastating and risky blow. The hero gets frustrated, realizing the intense blizzard created by the mage stops him from getting close for melee. Countless sharp ice spikes start falling from the sky like deadly rain, aiming directly at the immobilized warrior. He tries to defend himself as best he can, using the cursed arm to block the sharp projectiles raining down non-stop on him. The ice shatters on impact, but the quantity of attacks is overwhelming, and he can barely keep his guard up. Charles watches from afar with a sadistic smile, commenting that the opponent's endurance is admirable even in that situation. He wonders what the kingdom's knights will do to Solana when they reach the village, suggesting a cruel fate for her. The taunt hits the hero's weak spot hard, and he rages, imagining his friend suffering at the hands of the soldiers. The mage continues, saying Solana isn't weak enough to accept his plans without a fight, but that might be worse. He praises the girl's strength, stating she has the capacity to support someone like him, but that makes her a dangerous target. Charles smiles maliciously and says that since she doesn't look much like the deceased sister, maybe he can make an exception. He suggests he can content himself with her, making a disgusting proposal that he'll take her for himself after killing the hero. The villain promises that after ending his old friend's life, he'll blame the demons for everything and keep the girl just for him. The hero hears that with boiling blood and declares with hate that he never imagined the mage was such despicable trash. Charles isn't shaken and replies it's impossible to see what goes on in people's hearts, justifying his own evil. He states that's why the only logical choice is to always act for one's own benefit without caring about others' feelings. The noble accuses the warrior of doing the same by using his dead sister's arm to seek selfish revenge. The ice magic traps the warrior's body in a giant crystal, while the villain approaches and comments that the deceased sister was beautiful. The MC watches helplessly as the traitor praises the woman he loved with an expression of greed and contempt on his face. Charles confesses he desired the girl so much he actually planned to take her for himself as soon as her brother died in battle. He admits he saw the love between the two, but it didn't matter because her beauty was a trophy he wanted to conquer. The noble explains with arrogance that the hero was an idiot who always threw himself against powerful demons without thinking of the danger. That's why he was sure his companion's death was just a matter of time, and soon the path would be clear. But the plan failed because the sister died, and that filled the mage's heart with deep, irrational hatred. The hero finally understands the reason for all that cruelty and asks if that was why the traitor smeared his name in the village. The villain confirms that ruining the old friend's reputation was part of the revenge, but warns it's not over yet. He looks at the horizon with a sadistic smile and mentions Solana has probably already been captured by the villagers. Charles turns his back and asks, rhetorically, what the hero thinks he's planning to do with the defenseless girl. With a perverse smile, he comments that despite not looking like the dead sister, Solana might serve as a good substitute. The mage promises to end his rival's life right there and blame the demons, so he can later have fun with the new prey. The MC clenches his teeth in rage and screams that he never imagined his supposed friend was such despicable, disgusting trash. The noble shrugs and replies cynically that no one can see what is in others' hearts, so there is no guilt in that. He concludes the only sensible choice is to act always for one's own benefit without caring who suffers in the process. The hero hears that and shoots back, saying the villain is just using the dead sister's memory to justify his own selfish revenge. Tired of that useless argument, the mage raises his hand glowing blue and warns he won't waste any more time arguing. He declares he's going to kill the opponent once and for all, and the intense glow of ice magic lights up the dark arc. Night. The MC watches the attack and realizes he has no choice but to fight for survival. The scene cuts to Felicia's face smiling in his memory before returning to reality, where he is about to freeze to death. The MC is surrounded by an impenetrable ice prison and watches Charles preparing the final blow with a look of triumph. The mage says goodbye and fires his deadly magic, thinking the battle is over, and he finally got rid of the annoying warrior. But then something unexpected happens, and Charles notices strange movement coming from inside the massive ice block. He widens his eyes in surprise, seeing the ice cracking and glowing with a red light coming from the hero's arm. With a superhuman scream of effort, the MC breaks the frozen prison and breaks free, scattering shards everywhere. Charles tries to react but is too late, and the lad advances with a devastating punch, using all the strength of his demonic arm. The impact is brutal, and the mage is hurled away, colliding violently against the cliff rocks with a crash. The hero pants exhausted but determined, and says he won't let the traitor kill him as easily as he thought. Charles gets up, wiping blood from his face, and comments that the defense level of that arm is truly something impressive. He admits he underestimated his ex-friend's strength, and that maybe he needs to fight a bit more seriously to win. The MC takes the chance and rushes in again, trying to land another direct hit, while the mage is still recovering. But Charles is fast and conjures an impenetrable ice barrier blocking the attack and smiling at the failed attempt. He mocks the hero, saying he won't let himself get hit again by a punch like that, and reinforces his magical defense. The warrior punches the barrier with fury, trying to break it with brute force, but the magical ice regenerates quickly. The mage takes advantage of the proximity and unleashes a freezing energy explosion at point-blank range, knocking the opponent back. The hero rolls on the ground and gets up with difficulty, realizing the battle is becoming increasingly difficult and dangerous. Charles floats in the air with superiority and starts conjuring an even more powerful blizzard to cover the entire battlefield. He warns he's going to end this once and for all and launches a massive blast of ice, covering everything in a white glow. The MC is swallowed by the magical storm and disappears in the middle of the explosion. The ice shatters when the hero jumps out of the blizzard with a ferocious roar, surprising the mage with his resilience. Charles smiles arrogantly and creates a new ice barrier, thinking, he'll block the opponent's attack again. The MC advances with total fury and punches the barrier with his demonic arm, making the ice crack under the pressure of the blow. The impact is so strong it breaks the mage's defense and throws him backward, while ice shards fly everywhere. Charles rolls on the ground trying to recover, but the warrior gives no respite and keeps advancing relentlessly like a storm. The noble gets up irritated and conjures sharp ice spikes, launching them against the opponent in an attempt to stop him. The hero dodges the projectiles with agility and keeps running towards the mage, determined to land a decisive punch. Charles realizes his ranged magic isn't working and decides to switch strategies to melee combat. He wraps his fists in reinforced ice and charges to trade direct blows with the warrior in a frank and violent fight. The two powerful punches creating shock waves that shake the cliff and make the earth tremble under their feet. The mage mocks the opponent's rudimentary technique, saying he fights like a wild animal with no elegance or style. The MC shoots back saying he doesn't need elegance to smash the face of a lying, cowardly traitor like him. The fight intensifies, and the hero manages to land a punch on the noble's stomach, making him spit blood and retreat in pain. Charles wipes his mouth with rage and unleashes an ice explosion that freezes the opponent's arm, trying to immobilize him for good. But the heat from the demonic arm melts the ice in seconds, and the warrior breaks free, ready to continue the brutal beatdown. The mage realizes the situation is getting out of hand and decides to use his final card to guarantee victory in that fight. He starts transforming, and his body changes drastically, gaining monstrous and scary characteristics. Black wings sprout from the noble's back, and sharp claws replace his hands while an evil aura wraps completely around him. The hero watches the transformation. He realizes his friend was never human, but actually a demon. Charles, now in his real form, declares playtime is over. With a smile full of sharp fangs, he taunts, saying that is the true face of his best friend. Then we see the full form of Charles Glass emerging, mixing beast features with noble clothes.